Welcome to the Book Buzz Show with Cheryl, where we dive into the captivating world of books. Here at the Book Buzz Show, we encourage you to make your pages turn with joy and immerse yourself in a magical literary experience.
Hello, and welcome to the Book Buzz Show. I'm your host, Cheryl Brooks. And if you are new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. And if you enjoy the upcoming show, please like, follow, subscribe, and share the broadcast. Also, please be advised that today's discussion will include spoilers. So if you have not read the Delgato Family Series and don't like spoilers, you may want to wait and watch the replay later if you gotten a chance to read the series. Also, I'm excited about today's broadcast. If you are regular here, then you know I have been telling everybody I've been shouting from the rooftops that I'm loving this series. This is a new author to me, and I truly have been engrossed in the Delgado family and their extended family. During the broadcast, we'll be chatting about season one, Capone story, season two, Cappadonna story, and season three, Capri story. If you have read the series, feel free to add to the discussion with your comments, and I'll try to get to as many as I can. Now, without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest for tonight, Jahquel J, along with our reader panelists, and we'll get into the discussion. All right. If I can bring them up on the screen, that is. Hello, welcome, ladies. Welcome.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hey.
No, I don't.
I know I invited the ones that I knew enjoyed this series as much as I have. So I know we're going to have a great discussion. We do have one other reader that's going to be coming on, so I'll try to watch out for her as well. But because we're discussing so many different multiple books, we need to go ahead and get into it. So we'll start out again with Capone season one. And what were your impressions of Capone when he was first introduced? Whoever wants to go first. Anyone? Well, I'll go first.
You broke up. You broke up. I didn't hear you.
Did I break up? Can you all hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I was saying we're going to start with Capone season one. And I was asking, what were your first impressions of Capone? A minute.
Well, if I can I go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay. He was pretty calculated for me. It came off like a lot of people took him a certain way, like he wasn't, they didn't believe that he was capable. And then he showed them that he was capable and more. So
He definitely did that. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you, Jahquel, about, because all throughout Capone's story, we got about how crazy his twin was.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, my impression of him, especially as we got further into his story, like especially by the end of season one, he was not in your face crazy as much, but to me he was more, like you said, calculated, Katina, and more ruthless. To me, he had a more ruthless streak. So what do you think about that?
Capone was where Cappadonna is loud and in your face, unhinged and crazy. Capone is more laid back. I'ma show up to your mama's funeral crazy. Like he's more
Right.
like I'ma put the pieces together and let you know I'm crazy. So they are like different. And when I was developing them, I didn't want them to be the same. I wanted them to be different. And it's always been said Cappadonna was the loud twin, and Capone just always had his brother's, follow up. He always was
Right,
in his
right.
shadow.
Right.
But being that Cappadonna had to go away to prison, it was up to Capone to kind of step in and become that. So he had to really not, I don't want to say copy his brother, but he had to come into his own. And he had to kind of like have that spotlight without his brother because he was always used to, they were always together.
Mm-hmm.
But he's definitely he's the quiet of the twins, but still very much unhinged.
Yes, because when I was reading his story, I was calling him more like he's like the quiet storm. Because he had that whole city like freaked out and had the big bad Triller. Isn't that Triller? Triller. Had him shaking in his boots. He had him so unnerved by the end of season 1. So yeah, I think they definitely underestimated the quiet twin in the
They
beginning.
did. And he's very much unhinged, but he's very delusional too from when he first met Erin. He was very delusional, like this is gonna be my wife.
Right. He said that from the
Right.
from the beginning. And I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so we're going to get into Capone and Erin and them as a couple. What were your impressions of them as a couple?
I liked Erin for him.
I did too.
I thought she had to learn, she's from the hood, he's from the hood, but she had to learn how he moved, in order to move with him. But I think like the incident on the bus kind of shifted her brain to understand,
You think that's when it shifted? I think it
I don't
shifted.
know, like, because she was trying to be independent and like I don't, I have my own money and blah blah blah. But until that moment, she didn't realize why he was so adamant about making sure she was safe. And I think I don't know. It could have been something else, but I felt like that moment made her.
Well, it definitely woke as far as you're right, because she kept being stubborn about that she's this independent woman and stuff, and wasn't taking as far as what he was saying as far as her security and her safety serious. So you're right, that might have been a pivotal moment. But she still has some like where she needed some wake up, because when she snuck out the house with Capri, that was the craziest. I'm like, she is too grown, too mature. But I understood what she was trying to do because of everything Capri had been through.
Yeah.
She was trying to let her know that, she was a true friend to her. What are your thoughts on that, you all?
I felt like, not necessarily speaking on the situation with Capri, but I felt like a pivotal moment, excuse me, when she really felt like, okay, this man is for me. She had came home. She had been upset or whatever. She came home. She wasn't answering his phone calls or anything. And she laid on the couch and fell asleep. And she had she didn't have her wig on. She was upset. She was waiting on her brother.
Yeah.
And when she woke up, she heard his voice. And she instantly, she woke up and she looked at him and she realized she doesn't have on her.
Right.
And he's like, he was like, "With your phone don't work." So he didn't even mention.
He wasn't even bothered.
Like the hair wasn't, and I don't know if you all ever. I have alopecia.
Oh, do you? Okay.
That really, like, when you don't want anybody to see what that looks like, and especially not anybody new. And then you could have somebody in your life that you really love, and they see you every day, and you still guard it,
right?
You still because hair is important. So when he saw her like that, and that wasn't his first thing, like, oh my God, her hair, he was just like, why you not answering your phone? He didn't ask her nothing about the little bits of hair that was, all over her head or whatever. He wanted to know about her. And she was like, I gotta get a wig. He was like, F your wig. I don't know, we
Right,
can on
right.
this show, so I'm being careful. But he was like, forget your wig. You going home with me.
Yeah.
And I think then she was just like, okay, he see me like he sees my heart. He sees
Mhm.
it's not about the physical.
Good
And so
moment.
that I love the way you
I like
wrote that.
that.
Thank
Yes,
you.
that was. I love
I
that
love
scene.
that.
I forgot about that. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that's another thing I was going to ask you, Jahquel, too, is like a lot of the characters had certain illnesses. Was that intentional to, I don't know, was that to offset the craziness, the killing and stuff? Because I'm like, everybody got something, like almost everybody got something going on, but was that intentional? What was the reason behind it?
It was definitely intentional. It wasn't to offset the crazy because I think they're crazy just still. Like the illnesses didn't even matter with Capone. Like sometimes you forget he even got sickle cell, the stuff he was out there doing. But I usually create characters that have some kind of illness or something of that sort, only because for me, I know it's fiction and some people read to get away,
Right.
but I like to add something real within my books and characters. And I have characters that are perfectly fine, perfectly healthy, but I find that when I do give a character a illness or something that they're battling with, somebody always reaches out and be like, "Thank you so much for
Mm,
adding that. Thank you for including
Yeah.
mhm.
that. Like I felt so seen, I felt heard."
Right.
So I've always, added different characters that have different diseases or anything like that.
Yeah, because when I was reading, I wanted to ask you that, but I love that. And like Patrice was saying, she was able to resonate with Aaron and what she was dealing with. Let me see, we have somebody in the audience. She said, Capo, she said she loved how he loves Aaron and her family. Yes. And that's one of the things that I wanted to bring up too. I think that was another thing that sold Aaron on him is how he not only treated her, but how he treated
Her
her
family.
family, her
Mhm.
brother, her aunt, and her cousin.
Yeah.
Let me see. She said his crazy was cerebral. Yes, yes. He definitely is very strategic in his moves. Um, Capone is still Capone is still my favorite Delgado. Mine too. Definitely gave Street King vibes and was overall a good man. Looks like we have some comments on Instagram too. I'm trying to keep abreast of everything. The Instagram doesn't show up in the main feed, so I'll try to get as many of your comments as I can. Okay, so what did you think about? Did you think Capone should have inserted himself into the situation with Capri and Ella sooner than what he did?
Yes.
Yes.
Most
Yes.
definitely.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And that was one place where I thought that he kind
Yes,
of
definitely.
disappointed me.
Did
Yeah.
not like that.
Um, not just him, but their entire family.
Yeah.
The way that
Mama,
they,
everybody.
yeah. But
I
especially
think
with him being that's his baby mother, and at that time they still work together.
mhm.
And you see that something happens with their friendship, and you just don't mention it at all. That seemed like he
I
got
think
far.
when it comes to certain stuff like that, like when I was writing that, I had different kind of like playouts on how it would be. But sometimes men could be so clueless when it comes to women's stuff.
True.
Right.
Like they really don't be knowing, they really don't be paying attention. So I wanted to add that part in it. And a lot of people didn't like it. They was like, he should have checked her. And he absolutely should have. He should have never waited to, he met Erin to really like stand up, especially with all of them with Capri just, standing up for her in general.
Right.
But that is these men are like they're unhinged. They're like everybody thinks they're perfect, but sometimes they fall short.
And to me that was moment where he didn't realize, he realized it later and tried
later,
to
and that
right
he
and
kind of
tried to
failed his
correct it.
sister.
And oh
Yeah,
yeah,
but
Cappadonna
Tasha
and
was
Capri.
involved in that too. Tasha, it was like
All
Right.
of
almost like they both
Yeah.
were against her, and he didn't see it. And I do agree that men are not always perfect, but it's like I think that's what the way you wrote it. I was like, after I read Capri's book, I'm like, I think you just set it up for greater later, because that's how Quamir was able to shine.
Mm-hmm. That's true. True.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Because Kwamir came in and he was like, I don't know what y'all was doing
Yeah.
before, but this my sugar.
Right.
Y'all not about to, we not
Quamir
ready
came
to
in. I
do
said, I'm
sit
checking your
down.
mama. Your mama
Right.
done talking crazy to you. These
He
women
checked
done
people.
playing in your face.
Right.
He
He was
checked
like, and
everybody.
the
He kept it
protection
respectful, but
and
he
the finance
also
coming from me.
let it know that y'all not gonna keep playing with her. Like
No.
she has took it on the chin. She set
Right.
back. She's held this
She did.
family down. She done been through all her own stuff, and she been through a divorce, a man cheating, and all kind of different stuff. Y'all not. It ain't flowing with him.
He said she finished and done.
Right.
That part.
Okay, so what did you all think about this? Broke my heart. About Aaron's backstory when we got that.
Oh, that was tough.
That was very tough.
That was tough.
And just the fact that she still was able to function.
And
is
you
a
understood
testament.
why she was so hard on Jaden.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because she was trying to keep him away from all of that. And even though she didn't even know that her dad was involved in anything like that, but because
Right.
I guess their environment where they lived, she was just trying to keep him alive.
And she was right. She was
Yeah,
right.
she was right.
Right, but can you imagine that's just the scene when your mother is helping you with your homework, he comes in
Mm-hmm.
and just blows, kills her right in front of you, and you thinking, okay, this doesn't seem like something my father would do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That was that a hard scene for you to write, Jahquel?
Oh, it was definitely very hard because is not that I've ever experienced anything like that, but I know there are people that have experienced stuff like that. Not the whole backstory of why he did it, but
Mhm.
it was very hard to write, especially with now she has to step up and be there for her brother, and then she doesn't have answers. Like that's the worst part is
No.
it was a regular night for her, and her dad just did that, and then she had to go on living life and never knowing like why would you do that. And I think
Right.
that's the worst part in situations like that.
Yes. Not able to like move forward because you
Right.
right. Mm-hmm.
No
And
closure.
Right.
Mhm.
and she was they were very blessed to have Joe and her cousin
Yeah.
step in, even though she still took responsibility for her little brother, even to his, to his chagrin. Like he's like, you are not my mother, you my sister. But he needed reining in. He just didn't see it at the time. And that leads me to my next question is
Can I read a comment, Cheryl, before you go
yes.
to that question? Something a little more lighthearted in regard to Aaron. It's a comment on Instagram. And I think it's from Queen Quebec. If I'm saying it wrong, my apologies. She said, I mess with her because when people laugh at me about the Dolphins, I be on that same ish. When I be because I be traveling, I don't bring them rapey dolphins around me.
Well, where did you come up with that? Because I'm like, every time she said
Listen,
that.
this like I am real true. Like a lot of Erin's things that she did is really things that I do. Like I'm an Animal Planet person. Like I watch Animal Planet nonstop. I don't fool with dolphins. Like my whole family, like when they tell Erin, like, all right, enough, that's my family. Like they will literally let somebody mention a dolphin and I'm running down the statistics
Oh
and they're like,
no.
all right, stop.
I had never heard that. I'm like, oh my goodness, where did she get that?
I had that written down as my lighthearted
You did?
moment.
Yes, me too.
I literally got it down. Dolphin rape.
Right. Kimberly is saying big ups to Joe. She was such a breath of fresh air throughout Capone's story. Yes, she was.
She
And I
was.
loved how Capone saw how she was with Aaron and Jaden, and he wanted to make sure she was good as well. So he stepped up for her, just like she was a part of his family as well,
Mm-hmm.
which I love.
Do y'all feel like Joe kind of like her own daughter, that she like took away a lot of attention from her?
Yes, and I actually, and it makes sense though, because you figure your niece and your nephew move in after something so tragic,
Yeah.
that you trying to compensate for what they've been through, that she probably did, kind of neglect her daughter and her daughter's needs.
And that's where kind of rise her resentment came for Erin. Is once they moved in, they was dealing with it. And then Erin was sick. She had lost weight. She lost her hair. She was
Mhm.
really going through it. So mostly all of Joe's attention was on Erin and making sure Jaden was good. That they really didn't leave any time for her to be there for her own daughter. So that's
Right.
where kind of Rise attention was, like her resentment towards Erin was.
And at first it wasn't obvious though. It wasn't until they had like
Right.
Right.
yeah. Because
And
I
it
was
was more
wondering
so
too.
once everything really hit the fan with Jaden and Joe was there all the time. It was kind of like Rye got pushed to the side again. So it was kind of like
Right.
that's when it kind of brought up for her, like, this is happening again. Like
Right.
Erin's always
Mhm.
gonna, take priority. Everything in her life is gonna always mean more than mine.
Right.
Mhm.
And did
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm sorry this is Midnight Ace. I'm coming in hot.
hey
Dave,
Midnight,
Hey,
I'm
Minute.
glad you can make it.
you have gotten me through the 2025. I mean, I have had a rough 2025 coming in, and to just to ease my own stuff that was going through, I reached out to other people, and I checked on a couple people, and I checked on Cheryl, and she told me about the series. And normally, I don't just stop everything I'm doing and read anything, but I did. And this series has gotten me through the January. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Love
I'm
these.
so happy.
Yes,
Thank you for
yes.
reading. Thank you for picking
But
it up.
I wanted to say about the Dolphins, though. The Dolphins was a funny thing that you put in there, but then I love how the Cappadonna was always he was crazy. I love all. I don't know. I think the crazy of the ones actually stayed with me when he finally got touched down after he got out of jail. I mean, he was just full steam ahead, and I was for him all everything that he was doing. He is some kind of crazy, but I loved him. And I love how he would throw in these little anecdotes about like when they were swimming in the pool and everything. He had
Mhm.
funny things about that. It was just like, not now, what about those dolphins in the water or whatever? It was
There I was looking at Erin like she was crazy every time
Right.
she said that.
Erin
Yeah,
traumatized that family. She
yes, she
traumatized
did.
them.
We have a question from what we were talking about. She said Nicole said she can't remember, but did Capo ever tell her background of the murder suicide?
I
Oh, the background.
believe he did. I think he told
Mhm.
her they were on the balcony. I think that's when he told her, and she asked, could she do it? But I don't. He never let her do it though.
Right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, sure
But,
did.
even with that scene too, the way you wrote that scene is that we were Aaron. I felt like we were Aaron in that scene. We saw our her father do that. We had no idea why he did it, and then we had to go through that whole entire series, and then to find out, it was like it was heartbreaking. Number one, to
Right.
Mhm.
and then to find out why, and then knowing that her father really didn't want to leave there. I mean, I can't even imagine her father having to have to make a sacrifice like that.
Right.
That,
Mm.
but I do know that what was his name? I can't think of his name. The guy who orchestrated all of that.
Trilla.
Oh,
Trilla.
Yeah,
Trilla.
Trilla.
Yeah.
he was
Trilla.
some kind of evil. He was.
Yes, but Capone had him shaking though.
Yeah,
He had him quaking in his boots though. He
yeah.
he
It was
wasn't
he
as
was
big a fan
always
as he
one
thought.
step ahead of him. Every time Trilla
Yes,
thought he
He
had him, it
was.
was like Capone was like, checkmate.
yes.
Mhm.
I loved how you orchestrated all of that. It was
Yeah.
just
Good
masterful the
stuff.
way he did that.
But they say
Um,
always watch out for the quiet ones. And Capone was always, even when he was riding with Cappadonna, he never knew Trilla never knew what Capone was thinking, and
Right.
and so he was. It was no mistake that he was the king of the streets at that point.
On Instagram, I'm looking to the side, you all, because I'm looking at Instagram. Let me see.
These ladies are hilarious.
Yasmin is saying the part that had her was when oh yeah, Gams baked the cookies for Capone and he was tripping off the cookies. And then he got hooked on them cookies, didn't he?
Got hooked on them.
And just be tripping.
I love Kim.
Yes. And I'm with you, I'm with your mother, Kiki. Kiki's Creations. I love dolphins too, so I was like, I don't want to hear nothing about dolphins. Raping folks.
The raping dolphins.
Oh man. Deborah is saying the men in these books made it hard for real men. They were, yeah, they were. I love them too. Some of them could kick rocks, but
The crazier, the better for me.
Right.
I'm like, I don't
definitely
even know
escapism.
how she's gonna rate it even more crazier, and she figure out a way to do that. And I love all. I'm here about all of the toxic and the crazy and unhinged. It's like you killed a whole block of people just to get to me. It's like, yeah, girl. Yep.
Okay,
That hard.
I have to ask a question about the highway scenes. Okay, so why was I so entertained with that? With all of those people losing their lives, I had to take a step back and say,
right. Well, I didn't mind it on the freeway because they were defending themselves, but so I said they had it coming because they were messing with it.
It was a lot of killing, and I was like, okay, this is almost like killing for sport here. And I had to take a step back, but I was there for every highway chase and everything. And I think I even told my husband, I was like, oh my God, babe, they back on the highway again.
Yes, that's what I said too. But okay, that brings me to Jahquel because I didn't mind the highway chases because, like I said, that sound to me was like they were defending themselves. But when they did the drive-bys, I did have a hard time with that because I'm like, it could be somebody innocent in the houses, or so I was kind of that part kind of got me. But
yeah, but when I wrote it, is like in real life when drive-bys happen, is like you really can't control. It's not like they could come through beforehand, like everybody hide. We about to blow this block up. It was kind of like you come for us, we coming for you, and whoever gets it. But I try not to. If you notice on like the highway scenes, like I'll write in like a car is just trying to get out the way. Like I try not to, harm innocent people. But when it comes to drive-bys and stuff like that, you really can't control, especially in like New York or Brooklyn or anything like that. Like you really can't control who's out because everybody, if it's the summertime, everybody's out. Everybody's just doing their thing. So it's like if somebody got beef, everybody know that get low.
But the way you wrote it was so sexy, and then because like you would have the women, like the women would they got it multiple times, right? They would call their man. I love when Capri, she called her man, not her brothers, but they would be calm and they would call them, and then they would tell them, okay, they would tell them like they would stay calm. You take this highway, take this exit, and then when Capri, when she was shooting out the window with one arm,
Capri, you wrote Capri. She was badass.
She kept shooting. I'm like, go girl. I just loved it. I loved
Wait a minute, but when the first time they were on the freeway, I think it was Capri. I think that was the day that we were talking about where Aaron made that stupid decision to speak out, and then they end up getting in trouble. And at that point, Aaron was not able to help Capri in any way, really. But she did call Capone, so that was a good thing.
And that's when their relationship really locked, because it's like, okay, they really began, their relationship really developed because she cared about me, she took care of me, and Aaron was loyal to Capri to a fault.
She really was.
Yes, she was. Yeah.
When she found out how Tasha and Ella did her, and that would have broke my heart too. It would have been like, and that's what made her make that crazy decision. But that was the first time where I saw Capone really he was so angry with her and disappointed in her, and but he had a right to be.
Didn't he come out the house in his house shoes?
Oh, he sure did. Yep.
His house pants, his sweats.
Yes.
And
But
then
he came in. He came in. He sang.
yeah.
Even though Capri was holding her own for a while.
And
But
y'all know what the scene was that I just loved, but it was very dangerous. But when those people came into Capone's house,
yes,
I was going too far. When they came into Capone's house, the way that Ella was there. Ella is in this house in love with this woman's man.
that whole thing was crazy. Yes.
And she is, and Aaron has to deal with it, but she's dealing with it. But the way she was so loyal to Capone, Ella was, that she woke this woman up, her main competition, and helped her get out of that house, and they went out guns a blazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she kind of got a little redeemed in that moment. But I still side her. Yeah, I don't side as much as Tasha, but I still side.
She redeems herself just a little bit.
Yeah, she
but Erin still was kind of like, we ain't gonna be besties. Like I deal with you off the strength of you are CJ's mama, but we're not besties.
You still want my man.
We have a comment on Instagram too about what we're talking about. Shanna, I hope I'm pronouncing your name. She said she was so proud of Jaden too during that. You're right. I forgot about Jaden. He did step up. Yeah.
Yep.
Sure did. And he protected his sister.
So, is it any plans for a book for Jaden? And I also too wanted to know if you could give us any insight as to Elliot too, because we hear a lot about them together, but we don't really know what's going on with them.
Yeah, that Jaden has a book. His book is going to start my my basketball sports romance series.
Okay.
But you'll see in Kwasim too, he finally gets drafted. So he's gonna be drafted. I wanted to wait a while to give him his book because everybody still sees Jaden as nephew and that's little brother, and nobody's gonna find him sexy. He gotta be a grown man.
That's true. If he's gonna carry his own story, you're right.
Right. So throughout everybody else's story, I kind of like put pieces of him and him growing and stuff like that. And him and Elliot, they definitely have their story is more so of a second chance because they end up breaking up, but you don't read it until his book anyway. But they end up breaking up, and she goes, I think he mentioned it in, I want to say Capri. He mentioned that she said she wasn't going to follow him. She doesn't follow him when he makes his journey back to New York after being drafted. So they kind of like find their way back to each other, and they have a lot of like Jaden been in college doing some stuff. Like he ain't only been reading books and playing basketball. He's been doing some stuff.
Before we close out Capone's season, okay, we have to go through what was your heartfelt moment for Capone? For me, it was when Skylar, what's Jaden's girlfriend name?
Elliot.
Not that one. Joy. When Timmy Timmy shot her, it was like, and Jaden, but did he shoot Jaden? I can't remember.
Yeah, he could shoot both of them.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. But that definitely was a moment for me. But one of my questions for you all though on that, do you think Capone should have killed Timmy when he was about to, even though Tasha yelled out, "That's your son"? Do you think he? That was a tough one. That was tough.
Yeah, that was tough.
And I actually felt for Timmy in the beginning because Tasha was such a terrible mother, and
she was forcing him into
into the street. Yeah,
not giving him. But Capone, if you like how you see how he is with CJ, he loves his son,
right?
And then he lost the daughter, so it was kind of like conflicted at that moment. Like, do I end him? This is my son, from what Lion Tasha said,
and Tasha knew that was going to be the thing that was going to save him.
Right? So. She knew how to play on his emotions.
But even though Tasha was pushing him into that life, and even Nazim had told her you know, he kept warning her about that. But then when he got hooked up with Trilla, that was the beginning of his end.
Mhm.
True, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was pushing that narrative about trying to divide him and Jaden.
Mhm.
On Instagram, Queen Cute Bake is saying no loose ends. Yeah, you're right. We know in hindsight that he should have went on. And let me see.
That doggone Tasha is like roaches. She
Oh my lord!
She is a bed bug.
Yeah.
But
She is
you
a
know
bed
what?
bug.
That was a boss move what he did with Tasha because I actually thought that she had been rehabilitated at first because she was suffering so much.
Mm-mm.
I
Because
believe
that whole scene where her being set up
nope.
was just like I said, masterful again.
Yeah, it was.
But like she was Queen Baker was saying no loose ends, but at that time, if she wouldn't have got out, you know, because he hadn't planned on her getting out,
That's
but
right.
the mayor is the one who got her, I believe.
And the thing is, Tasha could have been, she could have, written her wrongs and all of that stuff, but she has that mentality of she has to look out for herself. If she would have just went like 40 said, sit tight,
Yeah,
she
they
would have
wouldn't
been
have did anything
fine.
Sit
to her.
She
tight.
panicked
so
and she went with what she thought would get her out of it, and it ended up showing like, all right, you ain't learned nothing. Like you screwed
Right.
yourself.
When they came to that house, when they came to that house, when Menace came to that house and killed what was her name?
Oh, the wife.
Jesse.
the
Jesse?
Attorney General was
Yeah.
it? What was
Yeah,
her? I can't remember her name.
Jesse.
it was
Jesse.
Jesse. She was a U.S.
But
Marshal.
I thought Blair
Mhm.
killed her. Didn't Blair kill her?
The Blair.
Blair killed her, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she.
Blair
Yeah,
killed
yeah.
her. So that's when Capri started seeing Blair as not just a friend, but as a
Yeah.
sister.
Yeah. But when they went upstairs to get that information off of that computer and he beat the guy, her husband was up there, and I don't forget what his position was. When he beat him and Tasha was there, he literally fell on her. And when she saw what kind of people she was dealing with, and I mean, this is again, she thought she might have knew the Delgados, but this was a whole different type of person, and she still couldn't get it right. Then they got out,
Mhm.
and they gave her another. Capone and the Delgados gave her another chance, and then she still went with a loser.
Still went with it.
You know,
Sure did. I think she just couldn't help herself because it was that time and another time when I thought that she may have
Turned over a
learned her
new leaf.
lesson, but
Right.
she couldn't help herself.
Oh, wait a minute, that baby though. Why did you give her the baby with Z? I'm okay.
We have to talk about that too because that was introduced in Capone's book.
Oh,
In the beginning, did you
No,
all
Captain
want
Dollars
Capri
was-
and Naheem to make it in the beginning?
Hmm.
In the
Everybody
beginning,
be honest. Everybody be
in the
honest.
beginning, I did. I thought that they would be able to work it out, but he was such a disappointment.
Mm-mm.
And then even Aaron, because of their history, when remember she knocked him up beside his head because like, what is wrong with you?
I mean,
Let me see, I'm trying to
He
read
can't
these.
get right. That's what I called him. Can't get right.
He
Because
definitely
he couldn't.
I wasn't there.
Let me see. All right. So, what was your I said with my heartfelt. What was your heartfelt, Katina, in Capone's season?
Capone. It was so many, but I always like the ones that nobody really pays attention to or might pay attention to. And one of mine was when Capone heard CJ praying for him.
Oh,
That was
yes. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. When he was, I guess, what his sickle cell was like,
Mm-hmm.
he was going through it, and CJ was praying for him in his room, and I thought that was really sweet. That like touched my heart. So,
Patrice, what was your? I know you read Capone a long time ago. What was your heartfelt? You remember anything?
You know what? Just finding out about his sickle cell and how I love when he was talking to Aaron about his sickle cell and because he had missed their date and she was upset.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Right.
And he told her about that and she was like, "Oh, I didn't know." He said, "No, still hold me accountable for my bullshit."
yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry for my mess. Like you can still hold me accountable. I'm a man and I need to, if you were hurt or upset about that, then it's valid. is valid. And so I just love the way, so I wouldn't say it was that specific moment, but I just love the way he handled her.
Right.
And she was so fragile, and he didn't get frustrated. He just I just love the way he handled her. That was heartfelt for me.
Yeah, I agree. Jennifer, what about you?
Well, my heartfelt moment was when Capone was going through one of his sickle cell crisis, and Aaron came and took care of him.
Yeah, he definitely showed his vulnerability based up because of his illness. That's for sure. And then Ella was also trying to insert herself.
She was being manipulated.
Yes, I agree. I still can't.
Still ain't
tired of her. Midnight, what was a heartfelt moment for you?
There was a couple of them, but the one where when what's the name? When Ella was there and she had come by the house, she was still the woman of the house, and then remember Aaron came out of the entertainment room, and I love how he at that moment, she had it was no no surprise or anything. This is who my woman is, and then Ella had to turn around. She had to, take a back seat because you were running that house, and now this is the woman right now. So I love that he made that fact known at that point. And the sickle cell one, the whole with him going through that, that was just so real. And so I love how you wrote that in there. And for somebody that was just on the street like that, you just don't expect for them to be doing the stuff that they doing, and having something like that. So I love that. And then the other one when Jaden's girlfriend, when she
that was mine too.
The fact that she had gotten shot and everything, but it was like she had come so far, and then she coded, that broke my heart.
It
definitely
did.
Wasn't there, and her mother wasn't there.
Oh, her mother was awful.
Yes, her mother was awful. Yeah. But those
that was top for me. Tammy loves books and saying she understood what he was going through because her mother had sickle cell and the pain is out of this world. So like you said, Jahquel, a lot of people can resonate with.
Yeah.
Can I say something about one of her points? I was a little bit upset at Capone because he knew that Aaron was his woman and that he wanted her to be in his life.
Right.
I feel like he should have got Ella in check. You already know.
Long time ago. Yeah.
You know how she is. You know she has keys to your home. First of all, I have a woman. Give me those. No, you ain't got it. You ain't got to give me your keys back. I'm changing the locks. I'm changing the locks because my new woman shouldn't even have to endure this.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you.
Endure this. And so you knew who Ella was. You knew what Ella wanted from you. You knew she wanted another baby. He needed to clear that up with Ella, no matter how bad it hurt.
Right.
He needed to clear it up, and he needed to put a lid on everything involving her, because I feel like Aaron should have never had to go through that. And then on top of that, to have her, you ended up having to have her come in and live with us. And I know that she's in love with you. And so she's doing the midnight trips to the refrigerator and booty shorts, getting something to drink. We're not having it.
Yeah, even though it ended up being torture for her too, which was, that was stupid of her even putting herself in that position. But it ended up being a good thing because she was there to help Jaden because they needed another gun. And but yeah, I agree with you. He should have stepped up a lot sooner than what he did. He finally did, but it was.
But it wouldn't have made it for a good book if it wasn't written that
way. True.
Yeah, we needed a little bit of drama. I mean, once he realized, he changed the codes real quick, and she was kind of like, "Oh wait, I think something's going on with the front gate," and he's like, "Nah, I changed the codes."
Right. And we already said our lighthearted was the Dolphins. Did anybody have a different one besides the Dolphins?
I like what Aaron called him Winnie.
Oh yeah. And they all had their little. They all called my feet by their middle names, yeah, and their little cute little names, yeah.
That was funny.
At first he wasn't for it, but then he rolled with it. But yeah, that was cute. Okay, so now we're going to get into Cappadonna season 2, and okay, where were you all? Because we got Cappadonna in Capone's book. So did your impression of him change once we got to his story, from how he was introduced in Capone's story?
No, he was turned up after he got out of jail. I mean, he was kind of, mellow in Capone's book, but in his book, when he got out of jail, he was turned all.
Yeah.
So y'all, I read these books out of order. I read Cappadonna because I started seeing people post about it like crazy. So I was like, well, let me read this Cappadonna book. And so I read all of those. Then somebody told me, there's a book before that. I'm like, what? And then it's like the author has a group. And I'm like, what? And it was like, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So I read Capone. I read Cappadonna first, then I went back and read Capone. Then I found the group, then I found the playlist and the Pinterest page.
Yes. Right. I love the Pinterest page too.
Mm-hmm. You are not the only one. A lot of people read Cappadonna. For some reason, Cappadonna got more buzz than his brother. I don't know why, but I think it was more so because everybody was, you see peaks of him in Capone. Mm-hmm. So everybody was curious, like, okay, well, how's he coming? If he's crazier, I need to know how crazy. And Cappadonna, in his defense, he tried to come home and be peaceful. He did. He tried to come home and be peaceful.
And before I know we just started Cappadonna, but I forgot to mention my standout for Capone, and you mentioned it, Jahquel, I think, when he came to the funeral after he didn't kill the woman, then he come and show up at the funeral. That's some boss stuff right there.
Right. Who did the body?
Can't do nothing but shake his hand.
That man couldn't even focus on his mama's service because Capone, that and fake tears.
That one right there, that was I could not believe it. It was just I'm like, okay, Capone is that man. I loved it. Okay, so with Cap, when he came, when he got out. Okay, so Kendra, even though she did some messed up stuff, her inner thoughts had me rolling. Because when Cap first came out, she like, okay, you didn't turn Muslim and now you don't want to. You don't talk about you fasting. We can't have sex. What's going on?
You want to go to brunch?
She was done, and she just found out he was home, and she was like, no brunch, no sex, no pork. You mopping my floors, you criticizing my empty fridge.
He's like, you need to clean
just her inner thoughts and stuff just had me rolling. She was like, what is going on?
This was done. She's like, oh no, this is not what I thought you was gonna come. She wanted him to come home and break her back.
Right. Talking about what happened to the old Cap, though. He's like, he was trying to explain it to her, but she was not having it.
He was like, and you haven't listened to anything I've said.
She hasn't. She literally sat in that man's face and ordered bacon.
Right.
And then order her a little drink. Like, she did not care.
Yeah, so that was one of my lighthearted moments. Whenever she was like in her head about all this, it was so funny to me. I'm like, she's like, what is going on? But she had a lot of nerve because she can't come out like trying to take her head off.
Yeah, but do you think he putting her through the test because of all the stuff he had heard that she was out there doing?
And he still tried to believe in her, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like he was sort of watching her to see, what kind of move she was going to make before he really, dove into her. But I like that he did not come out, even though he had been in jail all that time. I do like that he didn't just come out and, go right straight to bed with her.
Wait a minute. Somebody on Instagram is saying Kendra was shell shocked. Yes, she was. And,
she could not believe it. She was like, and no pork?
And no pork. And she said, I wasn't giving it up either.
Somebody is asking, I don't remember this. They saying that Cap was in dental school before he
No, because he was taking people's teeth out.
Oh, that's what she meant.
Cap got many jobs.
He had a lot of
Okay, I'm like, okay, I'm like, I remember
There's a lot
that.
of stuff. But y'all
He
know,
was a
Cap
dentist,
was a
and then what else
stand-up.
was he? What else was he? Because he
He was
said
a dentist. What else?
He's a bouncer.
He's a
He is a guidance counselor.
Everything somebody saying something, he's like, oh, you know, I can do that.
yeah.
He's a pilot. That man got a million jobs.
But y'all know Cap was really a good guy because the way he handled Kendra initially,
Mhm.
when he was still in jail, his brother was going to see him. He was like, "Look, your girl out here wild, and now she doing this."
Right.
He said, "No, don't. You know what? Y'all don't know what she going through or whatever.
Right.
With me being locked down and her being so young,
Right.
don't tell me nothing else. When I get out, I'll see it for myself."
Yeah.
And because sometimes, you know, I could tell y'all something about somebody and you all get your perception of it, but he needed to see for himself.
Right.
And I think that was the right thing to do. Now, was his brother right? That was his twin. Yes, he was. But I do like that he was like, you know what? Just don't tell me nothing else. Let me see it for myself. And I think he was taking account for this girl young. I've been gone for a long time.
Yeah.
Who waits like that?
Right.
So, you know, he did give her a little bit of credit. She didn't deserve none, but
right. And I didn't feel for what she was, how she was working, because he was still taking care of her. And then when I found out she was giving whatever his name is, his money.
Ace.
I'm like, okay, she done. And then
that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, it was totally different.
Kendra did everything. It was like she wanted him to kill her. It was like everything where it's like, okay, he came home, he's heard rumors that she's doing this, but he still want to give her, even hiding his son. He still came home. It was like, let me see, you know, what this could be like. Can we work this out? Even though she hit his son. And
that was diabolical.
She just continued to do stuff like, I want you to kill me, because that's what she was giving. Like, I want Kat
and it was
to
no
me.
good reason, even with the son, hiding the son. It was no good reason except that she's
selfishness. She didn't want to sit down because she knew if she had, even though at the time when she had Capella, he didn't have the money like that, but she knew that he would have to, she would have to sit down and be a parent, and she didn't want to be that. And especially
she never wanted to be a parent, but to me, she should have just got rid of the baby and not tell anybody, because now she put him in these crosshairs where I'm pretty sure Cappadonna would not have wanted his son to be rolling like he was. And then he was rolling out there, you know, taking the bullets for whatever came. And even Capone didn't even know. Capri didn't know. So, you know, they was treating him just like anybody else, you know.
Everybody on a few people on Instagram are saying look like her giving the money to Ace is getting everybody more than even just her hiding Capella. I agree, that was like real like backstab.
But y'all, Cappadonna, what made him my favorite is when he found out about his son. Well, he knew about his son, but once it was revealed and he could openly talk to his son about it, he was so hurt that he missed all of his life. He literally wanted to take this grown man and treat him like a baby.
Right.
Like he wanted to get all of his time back, and he wanted to get his love back. And he was like, I want you to move in my house. I want to fix breakfast for you every day. I want to take you wherever you gotta go. Even with his woman, like, bring your woman. I want her to live with me too. I felt so bad for what he missed out on. And I feel like Kendra was diabolical for doing that. It's like, okay, not only did you not, because a lot of women do that, don't tell me about my son, but he living with your family, somebody that I could totally see and touch, and then you still want to play in my face and be my woman, and you know I want a son and I got one.
Yeah, but not only that, she was taking money for him because Capone was still giving her the money. She was taking the money and not doing even anything with the baby. She had left the baby with her relatives to raise, you know, and every now and then you see that she was giving him like clothes and shoes and stuff like that. She was playing the auntie when she was supposed to be playing the mother.
But then she was upset when he called her Kendra.
Like, I'm your mother. Like, are you?
Right.
Because she wasn't motherly towards him at all, and he really wanted her love.
Yeah,
and she only really wanted to kind of build that relationship once Cap knew that he was his son. So she figured if I get in good with him, I could kind of fix it with Cap, because Cap was ready to take her head off in that apartment. So she figured, let me call him, try to make right. And he was like, yes, Kendra. Like he's like, we're not about to play these games.
She did redeem herself in the end. But it was, I guess, too late, because I did feel bad for her, the way that she died. And then when Cap and Capella found her in the basement, that was
and even then he wanted to protect him from seeing that, but
I didn't feel bad.
Too was
like all roads led to her death. All roads led to her. It's like she doubled down on it, like kill me. Like when he took her to that party, remember Cappadonna took her to that party, her son was there. He knew she went to this party. And like she didn't even know this boy. Like I'm like, you continue to hurt this boy.
In his face, even Capone was like, "You don't got no kids, right, kid?"
Yeah, he was ready.
Wait a minute, I don't know if
like,
this was
no,
Cappadonna's.
I
don't know if this was Cappadonna's books or was it Capri's, but they were in the backyard. This was a lighthearted moment for me, or a funny moment. And Cap was ragging on Capone and them. He was like, Tasha must have some hell of a stuff, because all y'all, and then Capone, everybody looking around at Kim and Capone, Kincaid, and
not even all of them.
But everybody looking at it, and Capone was like, "What?" And Cap was like that he has standards, so he never would have gave nothing to Tasha. But Tasha, she was running through him. She ran through him.
Tasha took them all down. She took them all down.
Yeah, that boy though, because she was
like she did not care. She was taking them down.
So she was the real homie Hopper.
Right. While they talking about the you're right.
She was the original. Tasha was taking them down. She did not care. She was in there cooking work and taking it.
Okay, Yasmin said it was Cap book that happened. Okay,
she said cooking work, which I be making pies with my baby.
Right up in the face. Got it.
Oh man. Tasha was something else, and these men, but Naheem, he really, he disappointed me so bad. I'm like, he needs to, because at first in the beginning, like I said, I was hoping that him and Capri could work it out, but I was like, she need to kick him to the curb. For one thing, you already know how she feel about Tasha, and for you to choose her of anybody.
It was borderline getting feelings for her though.
Right, he had, and I just couldn't understand when people said they wanted her to. I already knew Capri's book what was going to happen, and stuff that wasn't revealed within Capone and Cappadonna's book. So I already was like, absolutely not. But even the stuff that everybody read, and he was catching, not even catching, he had caught feelings. Like, this woman her son shot Jaden, killed his girlfriend, and then she just dipped off, and he still was writing her, like sending her money and doing all that different kind of stuff, where it was like,
but you know what was an interesting scene with him and Capone in the car. And he kept saying stuff about Tasha, and Capone was like, "Why you keep talking about her? Because you're not even supposed to be seeing her."
Like, what are you doing over there in the middle of the night? Like, what are you doing?
He had slept. Capone had slept with her too.
Yeah,
right.
But you know what? Though I was surprised that Nazir knew the game and why he would. And this is what I thought. Like you said, that he had feelings for her, because why are you running up in her raw like that?
Right.
And where she been through. So and he did take a liking to Timmy too. Because he was trying to save his life, and he kept trying to make her a mother, which she was so totally not a mother. She had a daughter too that she wasn't even raising.
Right,
sure wasn't.
Tasha was the definition of F those kids, because she did not care about those kids.
What she did to Timmy alone, because she turned him into just like he was just trying to please her.
Right.
He's the reason why he's dead. But sleeping with her, you need to wear a condom, a pair of gloves, and a bonnet.
3 of them.
So
And
that's
then
why I feel like it was
self-isolate for 3 days after.
Mhm.
Terrible.
Oh man. What were some heartfelt moments for you all in Cappadonna's story?
My
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
My heartfelt moment was and it was a trend throughout the whole book. I love the way that Cappadonna, like Joy, she had a certain way she dressed. And he was like, you can do it if you don't have to wear the hijab, is it?
Right.
Am I saying
Hijab.
hijab? You don't have to wear that if you don't want to, but if you want to, you can. It's your choice. You can do that for me. But I love the way she honored him in the way she dressed, and he protected her. He made sure that people didn't see her in a certain light. And I love the way he kept they kept everything private just for them. And so nobody else was able to see her body. They weren't able to see her hair. But when they were alone, it was beautiful when he could see her the whole.
Yeah, I like that he gave her a choice too, because she wasn't really she was only because of the guy that she had been with. So that
she
wasn't
wanted to do that to honor him,
Right.
and he protected that in her with everybody. And I love that. And then so when you look on Pinterest and you see the visuals that Jahquel had out there, it was beautiful. It's not what I had in my mind. So it's like you open my mind up to new things, and it was sexy, and
that
it
didn't have to be drab. Yeah.
yeah, it did it. She was very beautiful, and you could see that she had curves.
Yeah.
And I love how she coordinated the look with what she was wearing. So that came across too, and just reading it, that she styled it up where, she, stood out with the rest of the women.
Right.
She did rock her ensembles was really nice the way she coordinated them. One thing for me with Cappadonna and Joy was when in the very beginning, when how you could tell how lighthearted he was when he ran into her after he got out of jail. Because remember, this little love affair for him started, or in her started when he was still in jail, right?
That was beautiful. I like that. Yeah.
Many times that he picked her up over there and took her to that apartment, and then Buddy was getting all crazy, and he was like, "Yeah, son, kind of like." I love that because he baited the guy. But those were some of my most treasured moments with them in the very beginning.
And I also like with them, I love their little secret handshake that they had.
Oh yeah.
They mentioned that they did it frequently through them. I couldn't remember what it was. It was something with the hands, and they kind of
and you kiss each other's.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet. That was the kind of like their thing that they had with each other. So that was sweet.
Brandy is responding to what I said. She said in the beginning she too wanted Naheem and Capri to work out, but he wouldn't leave Tasha alone. And then what did you all think about? I think this was introduced in Cappadonna's season 2. What did you all think about Capri and Kincaid? At first, I liked them together, but then I didn't like them together when he dropped the ball when they went out to that club, and he got drunk and left her unprotected. If she wasn't who she was, that
she would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the area where they was doing the trafficking over there. That was their thing over in that area there.
So she would have definitely crossed paths with Elias' brother for sure.
That's right.
But y'all looked at Kincaid like, what is up with you?
But Kincaid is the one that was in love. He truly,
with Jasmine.
Neither one of them was in. It was like they was in a. I felt like their relationship was a situationship,
right?
Because Capri was still trying to get over what she had with Naeem.
Right.
She's still in love with Naeem's side baby, and halfway taking care of that baby. She's struggling mentally, and I think Naeem just gave her what she needed for a moment. But he was truly in love with somebody else, and she always knew it. Right. She knew that she didn't know his mother. She knew it, but I think he was a placeholder again, this was part of her. We didn't call it mental, but it was just part of what she was going through. And so he was very temporary, and so I don't really dislike him because I think she used him just like he used her.
Well, I think they were both growing pains because she was young. I think she was just out of college, wasn't she, when they got together or something like that, or still in college, just going to college or something like that. Because they mentioned that he used to get upset when she would pay because she was in law school
Yeah.
and not paying attention to him. That was such a little boy.
Right.
So they both, I think they were young, and you know how when you with somebody when you're young and you just outgrow each other.
I just felt like it was just unfortunate because of the pattern. The Naeem cheated, and there was a baby, and then Kincaid a baby, and it was kind of like a trip for Capri. For that small piece of it, I was just a
He
little.
didn't cheat though.
You know what I mean? It was still a baby that she had to deal with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was another situation that she was left to be the one that guy didn't want, or that guy didn't choose. So that's the part that was tugging at me. Like, and that's why I loved her story. We'll get to it, but that's why I loved her story.
You know what?
And I only brought it up because I think it was introduced in Cappadonna's book.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
And Kincaid was never, Naeem was never the end game for Capri. And Kincaid was never, he was literally just, he was coming around. Her husband wasn't giving her attention. She knew her husband was cheating.
Convenient.
And he was giving, and Capri at the end of the day, she just wanted attention.
Right.
Like she wanted that attention. She wanted to feel loved and feel wanted. And Kincaid, even though, you know, he got off track with the whole Delaware thing, he gave her that. Like he, you know, they had a relationship. He protected her, except for that time. But they had that kind of relationship. But he was never endgame, and he was supposed to die. He actually was supposed to die.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't do that.
But when I put that he was, that he got shot and he was basically dead, it was just like pandemonium. It was crazy. Everyone's like, not Kincaid.
Right. Because even now in Capri's book, he still rides behind. You know, even now he still like protects her.
Right. Like he which is why when Mir came into the picture, it was never anything with him and Mir, because it was more respect, because he knew that him and Jasmine had their situation, and he knew that Capri deserved better. So when he found out that Capri was pregnant right along with Naeem, it was kind of like two different, it showed two different men. Like he was more like, you know, congrats, blessings, and Naeem was like, but you aborted my
another little boy.
Right. So
I was like, he needs to grow up.
Grow up.
He needs to grow up. I think that's his biggest thing. He needs to grow up. But but what did you all think about the scene where what were they? They were in I think the corner store, and he got mad at Capri and told everybody about her being pregnant. I think it was, or no, that she got it. I can't remember what it was, but he ended up getting his butt kicked that night.
Very good.
Oh, that was you talking about when Meerkat beat him up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was it. Yeah, that was in Capri book. But
that was in Capri book. Okay.
About Naheem, or are we saying his name right? Is it not Naheem?
It's Naheem.
Naheem. So you know, if you walk back with him, so he was in jail, and wasn't he before he went to jail? Wasn't he like loving on Aaron? Him and Aaron had a thing. They was friends too. So this was a whole triangle with him, you know. And so when he gets out of jail, you know, Capri was still struggling with the whole mommy thing too. You know what I mean? Like, so she was trying to prove herself and to make sure that she was, you know, thought of as an adult. So then she gets with him. He just gets out of jail. And so, of course, you know, now he feeling himself because, you know, now he in the streets or whatever. And then he out there doing all of this stuff. And I just think with Tasha, he just kind of got caught up. But then he couldn't handle, he could never really handle a Capri, because she was this powerful woman. Like, she was going to school, she was getting this education and all of that. So he didn't understand that because he had never had that. You know what I mean? So it wasn't going to be a solid relationship, and you could tell that at that point. But I just wasn't expecting for him to have that baby, though. That just kind of blew me. That kind of blew me up with
And
that.
somebody on Instagram is saying that he was Aaron's first love. Yeah, he was Aaron's first love.
He was her first love. He was her first. He took her virginity.
Right.
And
I don't think they would have lasted either because he too immature. He
And they were young.
Erin,
They were really young.
She peeped the ring right away when he was like, let's link up. Let me take you out. And it was like, you married.
Right. I'm not sure that, let me see. They said it always killed me when Capone and Capri would tell him to leave here because she still eats pork. I'm not sure what they meant, what they're talking, but yeah, they used to get on him saying they're not gonna stop eating their bacon. Yeah. Let's see.
What did y'all think about like the beginning of the book, the beginning of Cappadonna's story when Joy was living with her brother and how he treated her, and then eventually when her mom came into the picture, you know what the mom was like?
They all had some terrible.
They was trash.
Yes.
It was trash. And I felt for her.
Yes, she was terrible. She was terrible. The brother was terrible and sick, and I don't care what they said about he was high. That still was disgusting. Am I thinking about him or Amy? I'm thinking about Amy.
Amy and Ace.
Amy too. Amy was one of the ones. Those women. Well, you talk about what happened with Erin and her traumatic experience, and then Joy. That broke my heart. And then even with Amy too, because I mean, it was a lot of just, you know, where these had to be really strong women for them to be able to move forward past that stuff. And none of them really had any therapy, but thank God that they have found somebody that could, you know, lift them up. Because I don't know, the stuff that they was going through was just, yeah, that was just
it was like, oh man, there was a lot. But and that brings me to Capella and Amy and their relationship, and she had so much that she was dealing with. They both did. They had a lot of baggage, a lot of trauma, from when they were growing up, and they still are finding their way even in the later books, but it seems like they're getting there. But Capella, this might have been a Capri's book, not Cappadonna's book. He started spiraling out of control. I think that was in Capri's book.
Capri.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What
did you all think about their relationship in Cappadonna's book when they were introduced?
I don't know. They were young, I guess. They were just trying to figure things out. She was still, you know, overwhelmed with her history. Like you guys were saying, he was overwhelmed.
He did a good job in the beginning, though, of supporting her.
So they were like, was it like a trauma thing?
That's what I was going to say.
It was more
like
so
a trauma bond.
Bond.
Right.
And Amy was going through her stuff with, you know, her mom and her brother and dealing with that. And Capella was supporting her through that. But it got to the point of he was supporting her, but he lost somebody very important to him. So he was, you know, suffering losses too. So it's like that was the beginning of his spiral, like the start of it, because he didn't really take no time to, you know, get therapy for it, or it was just everything just kept moving, like life kept going.
Yeah. And then he had illnesses as well, right? Wasn't he sick as well?
Yeah,
sickle cell too.
He has sickle cell. He's epileptic. So all of this stuff. Then, you know, they have a son. So all of this stuff was just happening. So he really never had that time. Neither of them had that time to really sit and process it until like things kind of like calmed down going into Capri's book, and then that's when it was kind of like, all right, things is too calm. So all the stuff that they've been dealing with kind of, you know, came back up for them.
And I think he even mentioned to Quasm that it really affected him, Kendra dying, especially the way she died.
Right.
And he was afraid to say something to Cappadonna because he didn't know how he would react.
And at the end of the day, it was his mom, and it was somebody that no matter how inconsistent she was there. Like
Right.
she was around. So
Right.
even the small little memories in the flashbacks he had of her for coming around to a basketball game or buying him sneakers, no matter how small it was his mom, and he found her dead. Then you had just lost his aunt. So it was like all of this stuff was piling up on him. And because he had this notion of a man has to be strong, a man can't, show his emotions, not knowing who his uncle and his, father is, how they show their emotions and they don't care. So
Right.
he was carrying all of that. And then he has Amy and the things that went through with her brother, and then her mom never believing her, and then this
Mhm.
baby. Man, listen,
Trauma,
Capella
It was
was
trauma,
in.
so. It was so much. It's like
I
they
have a
had.
soft spot for him because even during his spiral, I was like, I'm gonna hold you down, Capella, because
Once he
he
put
went
his
through
hands
a
on
lot.
her, I was done with him. But I
He
couldn't. I
went
couldn't
through a
get.
lot.
I couldn't get with it. But I
I'm
did
not
like how
doing
you
that,
got
but
Capone
I
and all of them to
understood.
step up and tell him, that's not cool. That might have been a caprice, but let's see. Brenda was saying one of her favorite moments was when Joy and Blair were kidnapped and Cappy was able to locate them from the tracker necklaces. Yeah.
And that whole kidnapping scene was just it was intense, very intense, because you were like, where was the security? You know what I mean? But they
Right.
demonstrated that. So that guy, what was his name?
Was it?
What was the guy from he was from the CV, the Chrome Vipers.
Tukey.
Oh
Tuki.
yeah. Hmm.
So then you find out how the connection with him and Blair, where he owned that building, and so he had how to get the access to it, and he knew about the security. And oh my gosh, that was just that was very intense. That whole scene was intense, and I was like, "Oh, you gonna get it now?"
Brandy is saying she loves to how Landon has a great friendship with Amy and even took her to get an abort. Yeah, I think that was in Capri's book.
Was it Caprice?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what, that scene right there too. I wasn't sure where you were going with that, because and then here you got with Capello too. When Capella, he had to contend with Amy coming into her own, because remember, she was going to school because she needed something for
Right.
herself. And then it was kind of like leaving him out because he didn't have no time for her. So it's sort of like the same thing with Capri,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Nahini.
because he was jealous of her friendship with Landon too, and she kept saying we're just friends, but I guess he felt like she was moving in a certain direction.
Yeah, but I think it was because he didn't know him. You know what I mean? Like she didn't. It wasn't like she introduced him to that, and that might have been a problem too, because and we didn't know this either, but we found out later that they were married. So we don't
Right.
know when they got
Right,
married.
right.
Right.
There's a certain type of code that you have to do. You married, and then you spending a lot of time with this guy, and you just talking about Landon, and I don't know nothing about him. So I can see where there could be some tension, but it broke my heart that he went to the
Yeah.
when he slept with the girl, because I just that was just
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
was
that was part of his spiral that and that was the immaturity too, because they were still young too.
and it
Um,
was
And now she pregnant. So it's like, oh my goodness.
right.
Who is she?
And it was
Um,
more so because him and Amy, a lot of people, sorry, forget that they
somebody need to
are
go on
so
mute
much
because
younger. Like Amy, I think it's like 21, I want to say.
Mhm.
And, Capella's younger than her. So I think a lot of people, when reading them, they hold them to the same standards of the older ones,
right,
Cappadonna, Capone, and all the ones that's older and have more experience, but they're literally operating like 20-year-olds. Like that's
right,
how
That's right.
20-year-olds think. Like his immediate response after arguing with her was like, fine, I'm gonna go find somebody else. And it's like
right.
that is a real response for some 20-year-olds. Not all, but
Right.
some.
yeah, I can see that. I agree with that.
Somebody on Instagram is saying they believe that's one of the reasons Amy had an abort. I think that was in Capri's book too. Was that in Capadon? I can't remember. But yeah, because she made some valid points that he wanted to be so much like his father that he wasn't listening to what she was saying, and she was like telling him, "I'm not like Alea." Is that how you pronounce her name, Alea?
And
Aliyah.
she was
Alea.
saying we have a special needs child that needs special attention. And this is going to take more of us than what we're given. And like, it's a lot for me to say I'm going to have another baby. And I got to learn how to deal with this baby, not to mention all of my trauma.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't make getting that abortion without telling him right. But
Right. Yeah.
It was understandable. I understood it. And then was
But
this
then again, she had Landon take him to do that. So I can see what the whole mental thing was too. But I wanted to say this to you too about the kids. I think these characters were so real because of the fact that you gave them, even though they were like almost like the perfect people in a sense, you gave them disabilities, you gave them children with disabilities, so you gave them real life stuff that they had to deal with, even though they were, you look at them, they have all of this money and everything, you think they're on easy street, but they still had to deal with real life stuff. So I appreciated that in this series.
Thank you.
Mhm. I agree, and apparently it resonates with a lot of people. The different things that they were dealing with in the story. I can't remember if this was Cappadonna or Capri's series season, but when Amy, she really ticked me off when she was being blackmailed. Instead of her going to Cappadonna, I could see why she didn't go to Capella because they were in that weird space. But she should have known that she could have.
Yeah,
That
it was Capri.
I was
Okay, that
Capri.
was Capri's book.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll put that on hold.
Yeah, that was in Capri's book.
That's Capri book.
Um, what did you all think as far as what was a standout moment for you all? I had put, I think this was Cappadonna's book. One of my standout moments, I was like, oh, please don't. When Cappadonna and Capone almost came to blows,
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, not you, because I'm like, oh no. But all the tension and stuff, and was building up, and I guess
that
that's
made it real. That made it real. Like that kind of stuff happens.
yeah, it
Right.
does.
And
I just didn't
you
want
have
them to.
one
I just didn't
who
want them to
just
go
came
there, so I'm glad they
home
didn't. Yeah,
and he has a family now. Like he's married, he got a family. So like in his head, he's thinking like, you messed up. Like you didn't tie up the loose ends. Like, and then you got Capone who feels like I've been carrying this family on my back. What do you mean? You've been sitting behind bars, eating bonbons and Cinnabons. I've been out here, doing everything. So it was both of them and then coming to blows, but the fact that they had their wives, the kind of like, all right, step
and then the
away,
guys
like back
grabbed, and then
up,
the
and
guys
have that little
grabbed them up. Yeah,
lighthearted moment.
and
It was a little light too because when they were out with the kids, still mad at each other. That was kind of funny.
Trying to fight each other.
Trying to
right, but you know what I thought was
so funny.
You know what I like too when when Capone got on Capella about what he said to Cap and hurt his feelings about you not telling me this. And then Capone, he was like, when Capone got him, he was like, you mad at him right now anyway. He was like, it don't matter. That's still my brother. And
That's my brother. And you're not gonna hurt him.
And he was wrong too. But I think being in that hospital again after losing his aunt,
it triggered him.
Yeah, he was in a bad headspace. Everybody was. That was just a real tense moment there.
It was. Yeah. And I could see Cappadonna's point as far as like somebody on Instagram said, never leave loose ends. But I could see where Capone was coming from, just from the way he thinks with Tasha. And then they never expected, because she got life, I believe, so they never expected her to be able to get out.
Right. But there was another thing that was going on too, because if you think about it, between Capone's book and Cappadonna's book, there was a lot of killing going on. And so that guy was, he was running for office. So he had to be careful. 40 was telling him that, guys, look, they looking in this, because I don't know if it was in Cappadonna's book when they ran up into some trucking company or something like that. loose end up in there too, because they left the names up on the board there.
Right.
So, all the roads was starting to lead back to them. So, I mean, if they popped off Tasha, maybe not a whole lot of people would have, missed her being gone, but they had to be strategic. And I think that's what he was thinking in his mind.
Yeah.
Because he had, those guys were missing, and one of them was an informant.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
you had to have somebody take the hit for that. So I understood that.
So in this book, before you leave Cappadonna's book, I just want to highlight the way that he took Joy's baby, and it felt like that baby was more his baby than hers.
Oh yeah.
He loved both of them, but that baby, it was just like, I love a book when a man will take a baby that's not his, and even when she's pregnant, he's like, this is my baby.
Yeah. I agree. But I wanted Amy's brother to get his. I wanted Alea's brother to get Alea brother to get his. It was so many people. I'm like, they need to go, all of them. But
you said the standout moments.
Mm-hmm.
I think every time, the first time Cappadonna was, he had a safe house, and he went to the bathroom, and he pooped, and he was spraying, he came out, and he ate a sandwich. I think one time he ate 2 bowls of cereal at somebody's house, and then he killed him. I mean,
one thing he gonna do is he gonna poop, and he gonna make him a meal.
Right. I thought that was so funny.
Well, there was one moment with him too, when, like you said, he was always so charismatic when he went up into these places where he knew somebody was gonna die.
Yes.
So one of my favorite moments, and this is just one of them because there was a lot of them for Cappadonna.
Right.
One where he went up in the safe house and he told that girl, he got on her so bad that
Skylar.
Yeah.
when he talked to her like he was her father and was telling her, and then I love that conversation with her, and then I love seeing her grow.
Right.
Even after
he definitely
that.
grew. Yeah.
So that was
when she called him Mr. Cap, and they started.
Yeah, he kept saying, "You don't have to call me Mr. Cap," but she kept on calling him that. I don't know if she calls him that now, but I know she did all throughout his
he told her, and I want to see your report card. I was like, this is not the time.
And he did.
I agree with you, Yasmin. Yes, I love the friendship between Cap and Sim too, and I love I like all the friendships. Like somebody else said, I love the friendship between Amy and Landon, and
I like the friendship between Aaron and Cappadonna.
Yeah. Because especially like when she first came to see him when he was locked up. Yeah. I love that too.
They got close.
I have a question. Have any of y'all ever had beef bacon?
Man, it's the best. Oh my god.
It tastes better than pork bacon.
I don't eat pork.
Oh, you don't eat pork? Okay.
Beef bacon is the best. Oh.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't even know if it was a thing. I've never had that. Of course, I've
heard other people like who don't eat pork. I've heard them talk about, but I've never tried it.
It's so good. It's expensive. Don't get me. It's a treat. But them days that I have me a treat, they're so good.
My cousin, she don't eat either one, but she'll eat turkey bacon. I think that's dry. I don't like that either. But
you get the Oscar Mayer turkey bacon. That is probably out of all.
Yeah, that is a good bacon.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. But what about the time when this was Cappadonna, because we're still in Cappadonna's book, right?
Right.
Okay. Remember when Cappadonna and Joy went on their first date at that little hole in the wall thing? Yeah. And then the guy, the waiter or something, tried to make it seem like Cappadonna couldn't afford it because he wasn't eating.
He was fasting.
He's fasting. Right up. Yeah, you're right. That was too funny.
She pissed
I'm trying
him
to read
off.
the comments you all, so that's why I'm looking over here. Somebody agreed with you. Yes, they love the way that he treated Promise.
Oh And I love they named her Promise.
Yeah.
Yes. And somebody is saying beef bacon is okay, but not better than pork.
I wouldn't be able to tell. I haven't had pork bacon in over about 12 years.
Oh,
Pork
really?
in general. So beef bacon to me is the closest thing I can remember to pork bacon. Now, don't get me wrong. Somebody's cooking pork bacon. I love the smell. I love the smell of pork bacon. But beef bacon is just always it for me.
You know what I love too? The way they were, because Amy, she is so quirky. She's very, very intelligent, very smart, and very badass, but she can be like airhead a little bit
She's
sometimes.
sneaky.
Yeah.
What my mom would call a dizzy broad.
Oh, but I love seeing her coming to her own, because when we get towards the end of Capri's, she really comes into her own from where she first started. So I love that for her. Anything else about Cappadonna before we move on to Capri from anyone?
I also love the because he had so many funny moments. I like the moment when he went after I forget who it was. He had so many people that he went after. It was the guy that he put his face into the grill and he was holding it there and he was FaceTiming her at this Aliyah at the same time. I can't remember who the guy was.
I remember that when
it was Harrison, but they call him, I think, Young Cuz. If I remember.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Your mom used to babysit me. I'm gonna beat you."
Yeah.
Capone had a grill moment too.
He
did.
He did.
Yeah. We have a lighthearted moment on both. Okay, so Yasmin is saying, here Tammy is saying when Amy tried to cook breakfast, that was funny.
She was gonna set that man off.
And Yasmin is saying she loved the highway scene and Cap's.
Yeah, those highway scenes was everything for me. And like I said, I had to take a step back and say, Lord, why are you getting so excited about people dying?
I didn't mind it. Like I said, I didn't mind the highway scene. It was the drive-bys that got me. I'm like, okay. But I love how you choreograph the freeway.
Yeah, the ones. But I do have a heartfelt moment that I forgot about in Cappadonna, and that was the moment where we saw him sleeping in a closet.
That's what I was gonna say. Yep.
Yes.
And then also the time when I think it was in Cappadonna's book. I think when that one time when Capone saw him sleeping in the closet, he didn't understand, but he grabbed his pillow and everything and came through that one there. Those I love that moment.
Yeah, that was real touching, and I love how you how their bond, how you show the bond that they have from when they were little, and it's still today, and that was a great scene that showed that. It's like my twin is in here. I
don't know why he in here, but
right.
I'm gonna sleep in here and ask him in the morning.
Right. Oh, they said Joy came and slept with him in the closet.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the first moments of him revealing to her. I believe she left outside the gate. She did something and he screamed at her for the first time.
Oh yeah.
He invited somebody to their house and he ended up going off on her about it, and she left and took the baby and went
over to Aaron's house. Yeah.
And he came over there when she cut on the light. She was like, "Oh my goodness!" But she said, "I just told you I'm coming back tomorrow. I told you I need some space." He said, "You got all the space you need. I'm gonna sit on this couch." And he said, "I'll be quiet."
Cause she didn't get it, because she was like, I know him, but I guess he was like, you can't go outside the gate like that.
Right.
It's not safe.
And that's when he revealed to her that he never actually slept in that bed at Capone's house. He's always been in a closet.
Mm-hmm. Was it Cappadonna's book when they first went to Barbados and they were all on the beach?
Then
they go twice. I think they went twice.
They
I
both got
want to
married
say,
under
yeah,
me.
it was Cap, because that's when Cap first went to Barbados.
The beach.
But
Yeah, because
Barbados came up in Capone too, but remember Cap was locked up. So
Yeah.
okay, yeah, because I love those scenes too when they were in Barbados. And I think when Capone took Aaron to the elephant
Yeah.
retreat,
hmm
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty.
okay, so we gonna get into Capri. Um, there was so much with Capri. A lot of stuff came to a head, and we found out a lot in Capri's books. What was your first impression of Capri when you first met her in Capone's story, and has it changed over time?
I like Capri's growth, and you know, I love seeing all of the what I love how you showed us what made her tick and why she
Mm-hmm.
like she was, you know what I mean? And the whole scenes with her mother and all of that, that made me understand her just that much more, you know. I mean, you
Right.
got these bigger than life brothers, right? And they're doing their thing and they're keeping everything away from her, but then they expect so much out of her, and then she expected a lot out of herself too. But
Yeah,
I
because in the beginning, no, I thought she was more timid and more. She grew where we found out that there's another part of her, another layer that she was made of sterner stuff. But in the beginning, I didn't see that when she was first introduced.
I think a little naive too, because you can tell with the friendships and stuff like that. You know, she always gave more than was given back to her, and those kind of things. And I think Capri held in a lot of stuff too. Like she didn't really have anybody that she felt comfortable going to and telling them
Right.
about some of her sensitive stuff.
Yeah,
She
because she didn't even have friends really until her college friends came back into her life, and that was in her season.
Well,
Yeah,
her person was Cappadonna, and he was in prison.
hmm
He
yeah,
was in prison, so there was only so much that she could share. She couldn't like.
Well, even with him, no, because he chose Naheem over her, so even she didn't really have her brothers either, not to that
I
extent.
didn't like that they allowed that relationship to grow. Like Cappadonna allowed that, and I didn't.
I
no,
didn't
but
like
she
Didn't
that.
like
asked
that.
them. Remember, she asked them, and she said, "Don't." And even when even when he started messing up, she went to them and she told them, "No, don't do anything to
No,
them."
but
But even
yeah, she
before
told him not
that,
to. She told him not to kill him, but
right,
Yeah,
Cappadonna kept Naheem's secret. He shouldn't
right.
have did that over his sister.
Tasha. Yeah.
Yeah.
He kept Tasha thing a secret.
So him and Capone both to me fell short as far as that with Capri.
They
So she
all
really,
mishandled
yeah. So she
Capri.
really didn't have like the family support because she didn't have anybody that she thought she could go to.
Her
And
dad
then
was
Ella and them were, and then it wasn't until Zoya and Blair came back into her life really.
It felt like
Um,
they didn't have a lot of respect for women. I'm not saying they had no respect, but it's like they put women in a space that was subservient
right,
to
right.
men. Even her mother did. And then you look at Cappadonna and Capone's wives, they were housewives and stuff. And so I just don't think that they looked at her with the proper respect until after she
Asserted herself.
and I don't
Yeah.
think but her mother did the same thing too.
It was
Yeah,
more
we're gonna
so.
get to the mother 'cause that's a whole other thing.
It was more
Um,
so. It wasn't that they didn't respect her. It was kind of like that baby
they thought of her
sister
as
kind of
baby sis,
thing.
baby sis.
It was like
yeah.
that's just baby sister. It wasn't like, oh, she's really going through real life. She really got all this going on, and they really never paid attention. I want to say to like how her relationship was with her mom because Jean praised her boys,
Oh, for
even
sure.
one sitting in
Yes,
prison. He could
yes,
do no wrong, but
Right.
yes.
the one that's trying to become a lawyer and bringing you good grades and doing everything, that's the one that you're the hardest on, and that's usually the case.
but you know what?
Yeah.
Cappadonna was the one who nurtured that whole school thing and going.
Mm-hmm.
So he was doing it, but then they both admitted to handling Capri and all of her stuff. I think because they felt like, oh, you know, she's going to school, she's bringing home the good grades and everything. She never said a peep about anything. And then because even let's just talk about Capone.
No, I think Capone is the one who made her go to school. It wasn't.
It was Capone,
Yeah, it was Capone that made her
but
go to school.
But
Cap kind of like her and Cap have always been closer than her and Capone. And Capone was more so he sent her away to school and he was doing what he had to do for the family. So it wasn't
Right.
he wasn't really even involved in Capri's life like that. And he was against her and Naeem being together.
And he was right to think that.
Mhm.
As we came
Her
to find.
mother was jealous of her. Her mother was jealous of her to an extent because she lived her life in a way that her mother never could. Her mother started having kids young. She didn't get to go to school. She didn't get to do all of these things, and so a lot of her life's choices shaped her life. And Capri didn't have that, and so I think she was jealous of Capri.
Yeah, I think that came out at the dinner. That
Yep.
yeah, that she was, which is terrible for you to.
but you
And
know,
that happens a lot in real.
It
You see it
happens
a lot
so
in books,
much.
but you see it happen a lot
In real life.
real life. Women being jealous of their children.
I still look at. Do you think that? Well, that was one of my standout moments. One of my favorite scenes is when everything came to a head at the family dinner, and that's when Capone actually, him and Cappadonna actually stood by Capri for the first really against their mother. But do you think that their father was complicit? Because to me, he should have put a stop to the way that she treated Capri all these years, and especially when you're making such a strict contrast between how you treat your sons and how you treat your daughter.
but he did interject a lot of times when the mother was going off at the mouth. The father did interject, but it wasn't one of those hardcore,
Right.
sit downs where he was saying, "Hey, you making a difference with that." But that's okay because Meerkat took care of
Because when
Right.
Blaze came through,
Right.
And it was more so
Come
of a I'm gonna check you in front because they old school married, so it was like I'm not gonna check you in front of the kids. I'm gonna check you in private. So he
Right.
never really got involved with it, and neither did Capone because I mean he's seen how his mom was, with Capri, and Cappadonna only seen so much because he was, behind the
Right.
wall.
Right.
But Mir
Blaze saw
came and
it
was like,
all.
I'm not going for that.
Yeah. And you notice that at that table too, where Cappadonna or and even the dad or Capone said anything when Mir came and handled the mother, because at that point everybody was like in agreement
Right.
with it. And it
It
was
was
time.
that mutual respect. He
Yeah.
wasn't disrespectful.
Yeah,
He
he
just
wasn't
was like,
disrespectful.
you're not gonna, keep doing this to her. And he became protective of her because he watched her from when he first was introduced. And I believe Mir was introduced at the end of, I think, 2.5 in the club. It was his birthday. They were celebrating. That's when Kincaid got shot. He witnessed her all through that and seeing how she went through these relationships and how he was the only one that seen that she was really lost and she was spiraling. Nobody else saw it. Nobody
Right.
else, didn't even at some point. I believe Erin and Aliyah both mentioned like they were sorry because
Right.
they didn't see
They
how
didn't
much
see
she
it
was
either.
going through, and he seen it firsthand. So for him to, send her away and then her come back and then her mom is, pushing her down that same path she just worked so hard
Where
to get
now
away
ain't
from.
right.
He was like, I ain't going for that.
But I love how you let their friendship evolve to before, even though I believe he knew when already that's what he wanted, but he knew that they had to be friends first, and she had to find herself
He knew it
before.
would have never worked because she was over here trying to play fake stepmama to Naeem's baby.
Right.
She was in between this little triangle with Kincaid and Jasmine.
Right.
So he knew that even after she finished and she washed her hands with both of them, she still wasn't ready for what he wanted and what he was gonna give her. So that's why he was like, you know what, go away, find yourself, and let me be your friend.
And I love
Right.
that he was there throughout the whole journey.
Right. They talked every night
You
on the
know.
phone and FaceTimed. I love that.
He
And then
bought a
he knew when
plane
he came
ticket just to
home,
say
when she came
goodbye.
home, he's like, I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna. It's time.
He
And
told
I also love that how he came to the men in the family and was he stated
Yes.
his case and
He
was
was a
like,
true man. I love how he stepped up and he
don't
made it clear.
right. This is me.
Once she
That's
with
her.
me, y'all don't have to worry about,
Yeah.
taking care of her or
I
nothing
love
like that. Let me see. Yasmin has
And
said
he
he
had
also
her.
knew He also knew he wanted her from the time they went right when they were in college, but he was stuck on Brandy. Right.
Lord Brandy.
Which
He
is why
definitely was
Brandy
that.
never really liked her because Capri within the whole series is always mentioned that the Delgado men have this infamous walk and they have this thing about them that they get from Des, and is Capri
Right.
has that, maybe not the walk, but she has that flair about her, and that is why Brandy just never likes her because she was always her, and she knew Mir had a crush on her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But even
she was
when
very humble though too. She was humble, even though she had
Mm-hmm.
every right to be stuck up, but she was very humble.
Right. She was down
was.
to earth. She laughed. She didn't treat anybody. Meanwhile, Brandy was over here just being Brandy.
mm,
You know what, Jahquel, the way something I would never do, the way she would go on them trips, they would want her to come, and she knows she don't like them, and she know they don't like her.
oh
So
yeah,
that's having money because I'm not spending my money where it don't feel good. And
She
she was
and that was
loyal
part
to
of her people pleasing. She
yeah,
could not say Jessie was a horrible friend. She was terrible.
she
yeah,
But
wasn't a friend.
when you're a people pleaser, and as a recovering people pleaser, you just want to please the people that you think are your friends, and you
right,
want to be there. And Capri was used to showing up for people, so even though she took that year and got herself together, the year wasn't going to change years and years of who she was. So that's why Mir was like, you're not getting her a jet, you're not
right.
doing this, like what is wrong with you?
Yeah,
She
but then
definitely had a kind heart. She had two sides to her because she could bring the heat too when she needed to, but you had to
Right.
bring it out of her, or you had to mess with her family. That's usually when it
Cause
came
she'll
out.
rub that nose and spit in a minute.
Wait a minute. Okay, so a lighthearted moment for me in Capri's was when she went on that date and and Quamir is in the oh man.
He
That
had her. She read that message, was like, "All right, bye," and kept on running
he
to
said
her
you
car.
you better get rid of him.
Not even knowing that he in the back. He been in the trunk since she was at the
Right,
first
right,
place.
right. He was crazy. He was crazy for her and about her, but he was crazy because I love too him with the when he took the pet from
oh
the
my
little
God.
dog. And any scene between him and the little dog was so cute to
Because he
me.
went from being mad that he cut her off to now I'm mad you mistreating his dog.
I love how you balance we get the danger and stuff, but we also get the lighthearted moments because we were talking before we came on camera and I couldn't remember his street name, but we were talking about Goon too. He was another
Gerald.
one that always had me. And the way he was telling Zoya about their little chocolate babies they're gonna have, and
You know what was his saying? Fuck you mean?
how do you pronounce? I was trying to pronounce how he was saying it. How was he saying it, Jahquel? Is it Mian? He was saying Mian.
Huh?
Well, what was it that goes? What was his saying?
Fuck you mean.
Right.
And Miss Lawyer Lady, was it Miss Lawyer Lady? Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
Miss Lawyer Lady.
Y'all know what? We give Capri a bad, like we was like she was a people pleaser, and I think she was. And there's nothing wrong with loving her the way she did, but it's like it's got to be to the right people because sometimes, the wrong person to kill that good spirit in
Mm-hmm.
somebody. But when she got the right people in it, when she got around Amir, his family, when she got around Peach, when she her and Blair
Yep.
reconnected, I mean, like it worked. And then even Quamir's family, like his mother, his grandmother, she
Yeah.
loved them, and they loved her right back. And so, like, I'm glad that her spirit wasn't killed in her by them because when it's reciprocated, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that
Yes,
whole
speaking as a people pleaser, I was always one, no matter at work, at
Right.
home. family, whatever. I was a people pleaser, and my mom, she would tell me, "You got to stop that. You got to start putting Jennifer first." So
Mhm.
that's I can relate to Capri so much.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could too, especially back when I was younger. I was a people pleaser too. Um, you all continue to talk. I'm starting to cough. So, Katina, Jennifer, y'all, midnight, y'all know how to give me a few minutes.
I was gonna say, even though, but she had, I think when when they were doing that whole wedding scene, and she was asking for Capri to do the jet, and then the other thing too is Capri had paid for a room, and then at the last minute I think was Brandy that was coming, and then she asked
Yeah.
to go in the room so Brandy could have a room by herself. And I mean, I at that point that would have where I would have drew the line, because I don't know, I've already paid for this, and I'm not, I'm just, I wouldn't have done it. But then the thing is that I love how Blair and Zoya showed up for her, because Blair was the whole mouthpiece right there. Because anytime she,
Right.
when it wasn't right, and Blair was like, "Oh no," I mean, Capri was like, "Oh no, it's okay, sure, sure, sure," and then Blair would let her have it.
I was
Zoe's like, she
screaming at
got
the
us in a
book.
broom closet.
That was very annoying.
But I love
When
how
they, what about when her friends took her and they took her to New York? They said, you
Right.
know what, we're leaving this trip.
yeah.
I like
Was
that.
that the one when Star told them to come? Was it New York or Miami? Because I think it might.
Miami.
That was Miami.
Was it Miami? Okay, yeah, Miami.
Yeah, yeah. I love that about them, and they just popped up over there, and then all the guys showed up over there, and then it ended up being,
Goon just breaking his parole.
He did. I loved everything about him.
So is Boone gonna get a book, Jahquel?
He has a book. His book comes after Quasim's.
Oh, okay.
So we'll
even
see
even
Goon
though
getting
he's
out
breaking his
within
parole,
Quasim's
didn't
book.
he get locked back up for jaywalking or something like that? That was a great
No.
thing. Going
That's
with
a cliffhanger.
Goon was living life like he wasn't on parole. Like he was out the country playing security to Morgan. He was different states. Like Goon was just living his life like he had no kind of restrictions. So he knew when it was time to get off that jet. Like, all right, I gotta go sit up. That's why he called. He's like, let me call Miss Lawyer, make sure. And she's just like, Gerald, like I got your flowers. Like you always in something.
Wait, but
I love seeing how she slowly was breaking down her wall with him.
Oh yeah, she
Because he was
Goon
everywhere.
is gonna break her. He's
Right.
gonna break Zoya down.
well, who dropped the bomb? Who dropped the dime on him about when he got off that plane? How did you know?
His parole officer.
Oh, because she wouldn't sleep and he
Because
wouldn't sleep with her.
right, he stopped sleeping
Oh.
with you kind of get in. I don't know if you guys read 10,000 Hours. You
Oh
kind
God,
of
yes,
get
I
you kind of get what is going on with that situation with Zoya and him, like a small little piece of like what happened. But yeah, definitely his parole officer. She was mad because Goon was like, you know what, I gotta stop sleeping with you. I'm trying to prepare for, Miss Lawyer
Mm-hmm.
and getting her and all of that stuff. So yeah.
Well, girl, you write a sex scene, because the way
Yes.
that Sim would talk Capri through it, he slow every time when they had sex, he slow walked her through it, and he opened her up. I mean, when I tell you, and then and you know it's gonna come, because when you give your disclaimers at the beginning, you say look, you say it's gonna be some Tims, some slanging up, it's gonna be some bending over.
He had her lost, which is why she pulled up to that beauty shop like, oh no, heifer.
Oh yeah. That was the true Capri coming really, really, really out of her shell.
Oh, yeah.
She said, I'm not letting up off this one. Like I had two others that filled me. This one is a good one. I'm not letting him go.
But they got me. They kept calling Meerkat pissy. They just I would just laugh out loud in the back in my bedroom. Had my son thinking I was crazy back there.
And he didn't. And he had no clue why they was calling him pissy. Like, and he like, I ain't never pissed on myself a day.
It was Sim that made me call him pissy.
Capone that gave him that thing because he was it was true that he never peed in the bed, but this one time he did it. I think it was Capone and Sim that came up with the name there. But I mean, and they didn't have no problem throwing it out in front of everybody, like that. That was just crazy. And I kept wondering, why would they call him this? This is so embarrassing.
Then had the ladies starting to call him pissy.
Oh yeah, that was just yeah. It might have been a code or something around that.
Somebody in the chat just mentioned, do you remember when Capone called and they was having sex?
He didn't want to call her. Even when the little scene with her and her mom, and they was like, "Yo, Capone, call Capri back over here." He's like, "Hell no, I ain't calling her."
I call her no more.
Oh man,
but
Capone was traumatized.
he was really traumatized.
I love how they, when by the time they was in the when they was at the lake house and everything, everybody was hanging out over there. You know how they had the carrot, I mean the what do you call them? The baby things. The stroller. Yeah, the strollers, and how Cappadonna was riding a bike and how Joy was on the bike. He was running. Joy was on the bike. That's the whole little community that they built up in there. I like that.
Me too. I love that they live so close to each other and just their bond. Because that's one of my favorite things is strong families, and we definitely get that in this series. So I loved it. I have a little get fun game to close out. Did you all have anything else before we get into that?
Well, I just want to tell Jahquel, you're one of my absolute favorites ever since I discovered your books in 2019. I may not be in the group a whole lot, but I be lurking and I just come on out because I don't want them to spoil the book for me. But I just wanted to let you know and give you your flowers because the way you write,
beautiful.
The way you write, you be having me up all night.
And this was my first series that I read of yours, and it blew me away so much that I've been talking about it so much to anybody who will listen.
Yeah, that is true. So so I'm mad at Cheryl and Jennifer, and I told them I'm still mad at you because you're new to me, author too, and again, a good book buddy is always going to be one that's going to tell you about a good book. They're going to be by your side while you read the book and everything. So I will have to say, Cheryl and Jennifer, you all are the epitome of good book buddies.
And you are too.
You are too, Midnight.
But I have to tell you, though, the books really did help me through a kind of a tough moment there because I was still reading, but I couldn't find anything that was really making my heart pump. Mm-hmm. When I got these books and I started reading them, they really did it for me. Like I really wasn't doing anything else but reading these books. And I also want to be mad at you now, Jahquel, because I had to work today and I'm like, wasn't on my A game today because I stayed up all night reading
Midnight. I think you told me that Menace was out, so I ended up reading Menace. And I had already read Quasi. Okay, Jahquel, why you do me like that? That's why I usually wait for all the books to be out, but I couldn't. I had to go ahead and read it, and you left me with that cliffhanger.
At this point,
I had to do the same thing, Cheryl.
Used to this.
We wasn't. I think me and Cheryl is the same way because we read the books, they were already out.
Right.
So me, I was going from book to book to book to book to book.
Yeah.
And then it didn't even dawn on me that I probably should hold off when you came out with Kasim's book. And then I read it and I was like, oh my God. But then you had that moment of redemption when you came out with Menace's book. Now, when I tell you Menace book, I laughed through that whole book.
It was so cute. Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
I don't know how to weigh him and Cappadonna, the both of them.
They're nuts. Menace is nuts. Stevie is
different.
nuts. They are both.
Is Menace's book is 10,000 hours? Is that a standalone or is it going to be separate?
It's a standalone.
Yeah, it's a standalone.
Yeah,
okay, I'll read that one.
Well, that's what I know. Because you're doing the Caselli series, so is that product going to be a part of the Caselli series?
Yeah, it's part of the Caselli series, but each book is a standalone, so it's no
no cliffhangers. Okay,
it doesn't leave you like it leaves you like, okay, I can't wait to hear his brother's story and his sister's story, but it doesn't leave you like how Qasim or the Delgatos leave you like, when's the next one coming?
Right.
But
whose book is up next?
The two things about him was the toothpaste and the toothpaste.
Oh, Menace, yeah.
The toothpaste, and then these
I haven't read it.
Right. Midnight. Y'all got a little bit. Y'all got a little bit of that Capri's book.
Yeah, I didn't know we was gonna talk about them books.
Yeah, you got a little bit of that in Capri's book where he was talking about the
I'm talking about the toothpaste.
Yeah, because I haven't read Menace yet. Menace next on my list, but I'll be done forgot all about what y'all done said by the time I get to it. Which is gonna be in the next couple of days or whatever.
Scene was in Capri's book, I think, at the end of
Capri's book when he said that too.
3.5 in Monaco.
Yeah, because he was saying that his niece, which he's talking about, Skylar's daughter,
his goddaughter. He called her his goddaughter.
It's like, you're gonna have her being a serial killer. Said, oh, you get this from toothpaste. Now you got me looking at how I bend up my toothpaste thing now.
He
is an absolute. He's his name. He's a menace. He is a menace.
And Jeffy needs some kind of like the way she handles him is
Jeffy. She's for sure getting through those pearly gates. Like the way she has to deal with his shenanigans.
Somebody has a question about Qasim. How many books are you planning for his series?
Qasim's only gonna get 3.
3.
Okay. Well, that's what we used to. Yeah.
Is his book up next?
We didn't even talk.
His book is the next that's coming up.
We didn't even get a chance to talk about Coleon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we do have to talk about Cor. That's right. What did you all think when he first appeared to Capri? Did you think he was for real or not?
I think so, because the way that he was set up, and even Amy looked at him, and the way they looked at him, like the brothers. So, but I wasn't sure that backstory of what it was.
Right. I was trying to figure out how it was going to all tie together, but we got
Corleone was actually introduced in Cappadonna too. When Kendra, remember when in the hospital when Chubbs gets shot, she bumps into a guy and he picks her up.
I did not. Wait a minute, I didn't realize that.
Okay, now I got to go back to that one though. I remember that.
And she says, I bumped into a guy. He has a tire mark. He had a tire mark on his side. And a lot of people kind of was like, well, how did she not realize? Because he looked just like, in a moment, Cap just threatened that he was going to throw her off a roof.
Oh, yeah.
This was trying to get lost. Her son got shot. She's watching Cap love on this other woman. So, like, all of that was happening. So she really wasn't, like, clued in. Like, oh, my God. Like, she just was trying to get the hell. Because after he helped her up, she scurried off.
So that was because he told Capri that he had been watching them. So I guess that was
he's been watching them for a while, but he just he didn't approach his brothers because he's not crazy. Like, why would you? But he said that when he was watching them, he's like, they kind of felt somebody was watching them, so they would switch up how they would move.
Right.
But Capri never really got that. So she was the less likely, even though if he's seen his sister in action, she gets down. But she was, you know, the less likely of the ones where
Right.
he would be more to
And probably be
approach
more
her.
open to
And he
him.
really wasn't gonna expose himself, but then, you know, the guy was chasing them in the car, so he
Right.
felt like he had to step
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, it
So
is.
he kind of was rushed into like revealing who he was.
Oh, and then that hotel scene where they started, where they ended up, where he actually revealed himself, because
Right.
what the Corsine was the one. Mir was the one who made him stay there, because he didn't know whether or not
Right.
the one that was chasing him. But it was people in that hotel. Am I not right? There was people in
Yeah.
the hotel. And so, what was it about that hotel that made him think it was okay for him to go into an empty hotel room and and kill this guy, and then come out and was like deuces, and then go on about his
Because
business?
if you notice before he went, I believe it's before or after he finished. The shade of the hotel, the front office opens, and I think he does a nod. Certain parts that within, you'll read more in Quasims, they have territories and certain things they own. I believe in Cappadonna they own like a whole little like neighborhood, so they have certain territories, which is why when she said I'm coming over this, and he's like go to that hotel, and
Right.
it's a real hotel, it's a real life real hotel, but he says go to that little motel off for such and such, which is really off the Verrazano Bridge. If you from Staten Island or you've been to Staten Island, it's really a motel there. But that's why he tells her to go there, and he basically, you know, handles the guy that was following her and makes
Mm-hmm.
Corleone like, okay, Daft Punk, take the helmet off. Let's see
Yeah.
who you are. And that's when he has to reveal who he is.
And his
Yeah,
brothers, they realized that he could be an asset to them too,
Yeah.
with his, you know, with his
Right, and
skills.
he's super smart, so he knows. Even though it took him a minute to kind of find Capri because she wasn't going under Delgato, she was
Right.
going
Mhm.
under her husband's
Brown.
name.
Right.
But he is an asset to them, and he, you know, the reason why half of the times they weren't caught on highways and stuff was
yeah,
because of
Him.
him. He's
That's true.
yeah,
been, you know,
Right.
deleting and stopping cameras and all kind of stuff, and they just thought like, oh, we too cool with this, like.
Right.
And you know, I love that he had the proteges with Amy and Skylar,
Mm-hmm.
who, you know, he was,
Right.
took under his wing. I love that dynamic too. And somebody, Ariel was asking about the different relationship dynamic that you gave Corleone.
He needed something. Court is different. He's not his brothers. Although, like he, you know, he handles himself. He can handle himself, but he's also smart. And I
Mhm.
felt like season 1 we got Capone and Erin. Season 2 we got Alaya and Cappadonna. Season 3 we got Capri and Mir, who are all in relationships with one man, one
Right.
woman. So I felt like Court, it wouldn't serve. I mean, he has a story, but I felt like it wouldn't serve a purpose to just give him one, you know, relationship. I I like poly relationships, writing about them, and I think I wrote about it. I can't remember what book, but I touched on it. But I ended up making the character be with one person. But I told myself this year I
Mhm.
wanted to kind of, you know,
Explore
test
that.
my pen and challenge myself. And Corleone, he just handles them both well. Like
He
he
does.
he's
yeah.
smooth with it, and
Mm-hmm.
both the women don't have a problem with it. They
They don't
became
seem like they don't,
friends.
you know,
I don't
don't
want.
mind sharing them. So,
Right.
but I do like their dynamic though. I like all three of them as individual characters. So I like them together. At first, I thought when he told Capone and Cappadonna about it, that they might look at him sideways, but they were like, "Do you? Do you?" But let me see. Mirror. She said Mirror directed Capri. Oh, they talking about one on the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
Directed him or to the hotel because of the connection with the IGs. Yeah.
And I love how Capri, also too, how she is riding the bikes and handling it. Not only can she handle her heat in the car, she can handle it on the bike as well. So I like that. But it's interesting to see how she's going to be able to pull off this career that she has, and then be doing all of this stuff on there, because I feel like she's so invested in this that she's not going to be able to stop. But is that going to interfere with her career? because she's up there now.
As of now, without giving spoilers,
Spoil us.
it doesn't interfere with her career, only because if you read Kwasim, and I believe around the time when they was at the block party, she like normally she would just have her regular thing just drive, but now she kind of has to move like 40 moves. Like nobody knew 40 was IG, or
Right, that's what it reminded me
he
of.
rides out with them. They don't know that because he has to conceal himself. So the only way they know that is Capri is by the marking on her bike. So it doesn't interfere with her career, but it also, she has to be extra careful because she can't just be like Capri that we've known her to be.
Yeah. All right, we're going to get into the game because it's getting late, and all right, and it's a quick game. Okay, it's most likely. So basically, I'm going to give you a scenario, and you tell me which character is most likely to do one of these things. Oh, before we do that, though, I forgot to ask you all, who was your MVC, your most valuable character of the series, and why?
Oh man,
That's hard. I can't answer that because I'm gonna say all of them for different reasons.
For me, it was Capri because she seemed like she had the most growth in the series. You see where she started and where she is towards the end of the series. So that was my MVC.
I can go with that. If you talk about the growth, she did have the most.
I like
series. Yeah,
I agree.
I go with Capone, and I say Capone because Capone is the one that took the family to the next level.
Yes.
When Cappadonna went to jail, like he was driving like a Prius or something. I'm not a Prius, but he was driving. You know what I mean? Like they wasn't really on, but underneath Capone's like leadership, this is when the family
took them to another level.
He took them to another he took them to another level, and I feel like he provided a protection to the whole family, even though nobody is perfect. So he didn't protect Capri the way that she needed to be, but he did elevate the family, and I feel like he neglected himself in a way to help them because he had sickle cell, but he was still leading. So without him, they're not where they are today, owning a lake house, a block with lake house, all of it. That doesn't happen without him.
And don't forget he legalized them too, so that they have something to stand on. But then also too, I say Capri again too, because of her growth, but then also the sacrifice that she is stepping into for the family. Yeah.
And not enjoying her pregnancy at all. I mean, she enjoying it, but my goodness, she working out doing her pregnancy.
She had so much, like she could not. The only thing she had was sticky wings. That's all she was able to.
Right, she loved those sticky wings, didn't she? Jahquel, who was your favorite to write? Your favorite character to write in this series?
I'm going to say, and we're talking about seasons 1, 2, and 3, right?
Right.
Okay. I'm going to say, I have to pick one.
I know who I think it is, but go ahead.
I'm going to say Alaya, but then I say Capri, but then I'm like you, Patrice. I have to say Capone because he really did start all of this, and he did put his family in a position to eat, and he rose to the occasion of his his brother took the charge for him, but it was like, okay, I'm gonna make sure you coming home to something better.
Why Alea though?
I don't know. I just really love Joy. I feel like a lot of people. I'm not that they don't like her, but they don't understand her. Joy has a crazy in her, like Cat. Like she's not
a lot of crazy.
She's not all the way there, but I enjoy her because she's this housewife, but Cat lets her be, and she. Through each book, you see her. People say, "Oh, she just lets Cat, say run the show." But each book, you see her coming more out of her shell and bulling his lips up and talking back and telling him what she wants or what she requires. So I'm gonna have to go with her.
I see the growth in her too from when she first met him, because she was from being in an abusive relationship, a couple, to really finding her
basically being sold. She went from being sold.
right.
Yep.
Yeah. So her too. Yeah, I can see that.
What about when she first learned how to drive and Aaron didn't want to be in the car with her?
She was gonna take them off the road.
Oh man. Okay, so we're gonna get into most likely. So when I give you the scenario, just say who you think is best fits that. Okay, so who is most likely out of all the characters in season 1, 2, and 3 to give the best advice?
Cappadonna.
Cappadonna, everybody say that. Okay. Who is most likely not to accept responsibility for their actions?
Cap.
9.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, baby Cap for me.
And baby Cap.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took him a little bit to get it together.
Yes.
Naheem done went through like 3 seasons and he's
That's true. That's
not
true.
learning nothing. Like
and he older, so yeah, you're right.
Right.
Who is most likely to do a striptease for their man?
Capri.
Yeah.
All day.
Who is most likely to make you laugh but be serious at the same time?
Cap.
Yeah.
But I said Premier too.
Oh, Premier too.
Yeah.
Definitely Mir. Yeah, Mir and Cap.
Yeah. Who is most likely to get the most ruthless award? Capone.
I don't know.
I don't know Cappadonna.
I
I don't think Cap is ruthless though.
I'm gonna go Quasim.
Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah, okay. And we probably get even more once we get more of his
only because I know what he's done. So I'm gonna go with Quasim.
Oh, shiggity.
Okay, ladies, who is most likely to give BDE energy?
I can't pick
one.
Lord.
Every last one.
You see all of them come in. Which one is giving you that energy?
Blaze /
yeah.
You know what? I this may be weird, but I can see Aaron getting down for some stuff like that. I can see that.
We haven't seen Core yet, but I bet Core got it.
I was gonna say Core. I said if he can handle 2 women,
Core, he definitely
can handle 2 women. I'm saying him. Yeah.
When they really get that situation together, I think Jeffy is going to
handling 2 women and that computer.
Right.
And the baby, don't forget.
Oh, man.
And taking that woman baby and being a daddy to that baby. But go ahead.
Right. Okay, so who is most likely to plan a romantic getaway? Aaron.
For sure.
And it's gonna be karaoke in the party.
Yeah, because she loves her some karaoke.
This one is easy. Who is most likely to dress up their pet?
Mir.
Yeah. Okay, who is most likely to win Mother of the Year?
They're all good moms.
Joy.
I would say Joy. No.
You think I was gonna say Aaron?
Aaron.
Yeah, I was gonna say Aaron.
No, well, okay, Aaron. I say Aaron because not only did she mother her own kids, but she mothered her brother.
Right.
And she still does. So I'm gonna go Aaron.
And who would get Father of the Year?
I'm gonna go.
That's a hard one. You gonna go with Cap?
No, actually, I'm gonna switch it up. Since we picked Aaron, I'm gonna do Kwame. He's a good father. Like,
yeah, he is
a good dad.
Okay, who is most likely to join a cult?
Amy.
But she's come a long way where she wouldn't do that now. But in the beginning,
Amy assigned her life on line. Like, I'm just going away to study.
Oh man, who is most likely to win Sexiest Man of the Year award?
Say it again.
Who is most likely to win Sexiest Man of the Year award?
They all sexy though.
They all sexy though.
You know, I get the feeling that Kincaid was really sexy.
He
I
did
get the
come
feeling
off
that
like
he
that,
was
didn't he?
He's still Kincaid. A lot of people don't really like him now with the Capri thing, but Kincaid's still my guy. Like that's why he's still around, because I really do like Kincaid, and he
But
brings
Kincaid
the
was
brings the comedic, brings the relief. Like he's funny just like Mir
Right.
and Cat.
Because sexy is different than like somebody that's handsome and
Right.
so that's what I'm
Right.
thinking. Who gives that sexy vibe?
But he was on his
I'm gonna
bike.
go Core, because the way he just leads them, pulls them behind him, and he just makes way. So I'm gonna pick Core.
So
I love
Core
how
and Kincaid.
Y'all didn't mention Goon.
Goon.
Well, but we don't know enough about him to say if he's sexy or not, though.
I don't see Goon as sexy.
Yeah, me either. I'm not getting sexy from
Not
him.
yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
But okay, so who is most likely to be the smartest person in the room?
Smartest.
The smartest.
Corium.
Or
Or one of the women too.
I'm gonna
Amy
go
or
Skylar.
Tyler, yep.
Skylar.
Who is the deadliest person in the room?
Sim.
They all dangerous.
I'm Sim because he's quiet.
Yeah, Sim.
Yeah.
I
Because
mean,
he'll hide in your trunk
yeah.
for
that man will set a bomb alert in a restaurant for you and be home knitting. So he's definitely.
But didn't that happen though? Who did that? It was in Capri's book. Was it Mir?
With the trunk?
No, it was. Remember when they was in the restaurant and
Oh,
then
that was in Quasim's book when
What?
Bear was in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And he called in that he was gonna set it on fire, and had the IGs bring her home, and then was upstairs knitting, listening to I think Earth, Wind, and Fire.
sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
I love how Sim and Mir, how they were these ruthless guys, no doubt about it, right? We can't take anything away from them. But they sing, they know how to play instruments, and then the whole knit thing was just crazy.
Gams make
definitely
sure
have
that her
another layer.
boys were layered. They have multiple.
Yes.
They got multiple things going.
Now, who was most likely to win in a professional cage fight?
I'm gonna go Cappadonna because he was kind of in a cage already. So.
Right. I'm thinking too. Yeah. Because so they talked about Cappadonna being big, so and then he worked out a lot while he was in prison.
Yeah.
So you figure that he's muscular. But as far as did you describe Capone in the beginning? I can't remember. Are they identical?
I did. They're not identical. They're fraternal.
Oh, they're not identical. Okay.
Because I believe Rye says they say they twins, but they don't look alike. And Erin's like, there's different type of twins, right?
Okay, yeah. So they're fraternal. Okay, so they don't look alike. All right. Thank you, Letty, for coming on. I loved this discussion. Thank you, Jahquel, for writing this wonderful series.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I truly enjoyed it. And you said that Quasim is coming up next, right?
Yes, Quasim is coming next.
I can't wait. And what else can you tell us as far as what else you have in store for us?
I have Quasim coming, and then the Montes are coming. The Monte Cartel is coming. They were mentioned, I believe, in 10,000 Hours. And
that's right.
I think they're mentioned in Sim's book as well. And I think it was mentioned in Capri too. But they're coming, and then I don't know what
you
else.
said something about sports. Didn't you say sports?
My sports romance, but that doesn't come into the summer.
Okay.
And that's Jaden starts that off.
You said that don't come until when?
Like later in the summer.
I love sports too. Yeah.
Can I just ask you one question? This is not about the Delgatos or anything, but from the Delgatos, I went back to the Vandici and Cromwell series because I didn't know about that. But I'm confused in something, and I'm not going to clear that for me. So, Muhammad was an assassin. Right, and I hope I'm not spoiling this for anybody, but I just got to know this. So, in Sim's book, or was it Sim that said something about he worked for Carter? So I think
Mhm.
Carter started working for Muhammad, right? And then now is Sim doing the same thing that Carter is doing?
Yes, they all are in the queue where Blair thought it was a exotic, like he sounded like an exotic chick. It's Mo and Carter's thing that they do, and that's how Sim ends up joining it. You'll read in Sim 2 how he ends up coming about making linking forces with them.
Okay. Yeah, because you really just kind of like eased us into it with Carter. You just kind of mentioned it like a little caption, and then you didn't say any more. But then
Yeah.
something about in Tim's book when he said something, I was like, okay, yeah, okay.
And we're gonna. I'm gonna have to reach out and have you back when we get further into Quasim's story and the Casellis, because I want to talk about the Casellis when you finish their series.
I love to come back.
Yeah, and I'd love to have you two on the book bar too. What we can talk. It sounds like you got some stuff going on, so whenever one of those comes out, I'd like to have you as well.
I would love
Yeah,
to come.
that's right. We forgot to. So Midnight has the Midnight Ace Book Bar, and then Patrice has
Black Girl Book Club podcast. Jahquel's been on our show before.
Okay, and then you all want to say what you, Jennifer? You have your review, Jenny Cozy's Cozy Corner.
I have my Jenny's Cozy Book Corner review blog.
And Katina.
I'm just an avid reader.
And you're an admin now.
Say that again.
And you're an admin.
Yes, yeah. I also admin in the book club, the I Aspire book club. Yeah.
But yeah, I love, like I said, I love the series, love the characters, and I can't wait to read more. And I'll reach out later when you get the Casellis all wrapped up because I want to talk about them.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you, ladies, for coming out. Thank you, everybody in the audience, for being so engaged. And I'll see you next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Night.
Bye.
Night.